This is a Miami Sports Music Podcast Network production. This is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers, let's go.
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter column. Whole squad been trained to go. Been for life, we throw the folk. Singing this just to welcome bro. Two a time.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Stephen D, and this is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's a beautiful Friday. It is an absolutely amazing Friday. You know how awesome of a Friday it is? This is the best Friday that there is because it is a day that we get to celebrate with our fellow Finn fans, our fellow Finlaws. We got a great day for y'all today. Number 54, baby. That guy, that man, absolutely amazing. The man in the middle. The man, one of the men, I'm going to get into all that. I'm going to get emotional. It's going to get crazy. We're going to talk about it all. Want to say good morning to my family and my Finlaws. I'm your host, Stephen Daniels. You can follow me on all social media at Stephen D. SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. Make sure y'all follow Miami Sports Music everywhere at Miami Sports Music, except on Twitter where we're at MIA Sports Music. Want to make sure y'all do that there. Also, while I take a sip of water, make sure y'all hit that like button. Hit it. Tap it. Make sure y'all hit that like button. It is very important today that you hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, y'all need to subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, cuz. Make sure you're subscribed. Hey, my guy, make sure you go to the YouTube channel, Miami Sports Music, and you subscribe to the channel, okay? Don't make me have to come down and get one on over you, okay? From New York. And then the New Yorkers around here, we're not playing. Jets suck, okay? Jets suck. I'm doing that for Jason, who's in the background. I hope he hears me. Anyways, make sure you sign up and become a member today on YouTube if you're not already. Plenty of seats waiting at the table for you. Can we get 3 new members signed up today? Would love to get 3 new members signed up today. Okay. Love it. Love it. Hey, if you want to help the channel grow by donating, lots of different ways you can do it. You can use the YouTube Live Super Chat, which is the $ below the bottom of the chat. You can also use YouTube Super Thanks, which is the heart logo with the $ in the middle of it. If you're re-watching this and you're not watching this live, you can also use Cash App in PayPal, which is $MSM Podcast Network. Again, that's $MSM Podcast Network. I want to remind you guys, if you haven't gotten your Super Bowl boxes, you need to get them today. Okay? There's like 64 of these things left. I think we can get them filled up, but we got to fill them up today. $25 per box. And I will tell you, if you send over $100 per $100, so we can get these things filled up, I'm gonna put you in for an autographed jersey giveaway this afternoon. So if you send $100 or more in through Cash App or PayPal to fill up 4 or more boxes, I'm going to get an autographed jersey, Miami Dolphins former player, maybe even current. I got to go dig through the box. Yeah, an autographed jersey of a Miami Dolphins current or former player if you do 4 or more. Remember, a portion of the proceeds go to the Dolphins Cancer Challenge. The other portion goes to, obviously, us. And then you also get a chance to win some money. End of the first quarter, halftime, end of the third quarter, in the final score. So make sure y'all do that today. Come on. Make sure y'all do it. Awesome. All right? We give a big shout-out to our sponsors of the show, the person who's going to help me give away that awesome autographed jersey, ZSM Sports. We love ZSM Sports Cars, jerseys, balls, and hard-to-find items, make sure ZSM Sports Today is the place to go. Hangry Owls, good food, good mood. Hangry Owls, craft subs and salads. Make sure you give them a call at 305-279-5332. Tell them Steven sent you. Use the code word SKPL, spread kindness, positivity, and love. Get $3 off your sub, except on Friday, which is what we're in, where you get $6 off your subs. Vasasaur, we love some Vasasaur. Born and raised the official beer of Clock Blockers, a beer created for the fans by the fans, just like this podcast network, a network that was made by a fan for the fans. And that's what Clock Blockers, Flip Floppers, Cat Blockers, whatever you want to call us, each and every morning are. Make sure you have a great place to sit for the best concerts, sports, and theater events all across the world. You guys need tickets to any great event, go to agreatplacetosit.com. Why are they better than the rest of the competition or anywhere else you can buy tickets? Well, the price you see is the price you get. There's no service or ticket fees. They're absolutely amazing. And if you give them a call, and you'll see in the description below, if you give them a call at 954-989-7979, use the code word DWA, you will get 5% additional off on your tickets. Make sure you guys use agreatplacetosit.com. Tail Greeter, download the app today on your current Apple or Android device today. Tail Greeter is absolutely amazing. If you download the app on Apple, it goes right to your phone. There's my one nice thing about Apple today. You can download the Tail Greeter app for free on your phone. That's a gimme. That's a gimme. You can do it. You might be able to do it on Android, but you can definitely do it on Apple. I got to say one nice thing about Apple every day. I'm not a huge fan of this, but I was forced into it. I put myself in a quarter, and nobody put Steven in a corner. Okay? Hey, speaking of Tail Greeter, by the way, we just got 11 more boxes filled up, or excuse me, 11 more boxes, 4 more boxes filled up. That's right. Our man Caslin came in and put in 4 more boxes. Caslin wants to get an autographed jersey. I like it, Kaz. I like it, my guy. Where are you at? Where are you at? You got 11, 9, 24, and 27. I'll have to update it while I bring on my co-host here in a second. But I want to remind you all for Tail Greeter, I got my phone on me. I'm waiting for the Cash Apps and the PayPal things to ring today. The Tail Greeter, we got 3 great events next year for next football season. And I hope you all can join us and are going to be a part of it. And some of you were a part of this past year's. Well, this year we're going to be doing 3 major events. We're going to be in Washington for the FedEx Takeover. What is that, Steven? Well, we do a Saturday night or the night before game meet and greet, which is absolutely amazing, where you get to meet fans, maybe even a former player. You get to hang out. We'll be at the local bar where the local fan club is, and it'll be absolutely awesome there. So make sure you guys come out to that. And then Sunday or whatever day the game is on, we will do an awesome exclusive Miami Dolphins tailgate in Washington at FedEx Field for the FedEx Takeover, which is great. In Philadelphia, we're going to be doing the Philly Finvasion. That's right, the Philly Finvasion. This is pretty awesome, and everything's going to be in one place. So once you get to Philadelphia and you get to the hotel, the meet and greet, the tailgate, and the game are all going to be within walking distance of each other. We pretty much have almost all the details planned out for this one, which I'm really excited about. We just got to lock down a couple more things. But we know that the finalists and everywhere that they're doing are all within walking distance, which is awesome. Big Dougie B sent some stuff in. There we go. I like it, Big Dougie B. I got to see what boxes Big Dougie B got. Hopefully Big Dougie B put his boxes in there, as my phone takes forever to load. And then last but not least, the Baltimore Beatdown. Big Dougie B, I need 4 boxes from you, my guy. You got to give me 4 box numbers. The Baltimore Beatdown 2023. If you guys didn't get a chance to go to the Baltimore Beatdown this past year, gonna have a good time this year. It's gonna be good fun. Good fun. All right, man. It is Spread Kindness Friday. Our boy Zach finally makes it into the Hall of Fame, but it is Friday, and that means I have a co-host, an awesome co-host, I might add. So let me bring him on, my brother from another mother, who is a longtime Miami Dolphins fan himself. You know him, you love him, Mr. Jason Sarney, ladies and gentlemen.
morning, Steven. Happy
Hey, bro.
Friday. Happy induction day, man. Oh, I'm so happy right now. So
Dude,
happy.
you first of all, we let's make our boxes bigger. There we go. Check
Gotta
out the
represent,
threads,
man.
my guy.
Gotta represent, dude. Of course.
Right here.
Of course, this is all nice
Right
and ironed
here.
out, ready to roll. One of my favorites of all time. He's number 2. Basically, we were spoiled growing up, Steven. You know, we had Marino, we had JT, we had now Zach. So really, you're looking at 3 Hall of Famers in the prime of kind of watching football growing up in our lives. So yeah, the top 3 growing up: Marino, Zach, JT, all enshrined in Canton. And you know what? This is as close to a Super Bowl victory as we're getting at the moment. So we really should enjoy this to the fullest. And I'm not even kidding. We should have a blast all the way through induction.
Want to remind y'all, it is Spread Kindness Friday. I will tell you, anybody who donates $100 or more for the Super Bowl boxes, which is every $25 you get a box, I'll put your name into the drawing. Anybody who donates $54 to the channel today will also get into the Hall of Fame. Excuse me, the Hall of Fame, the autographed Miami Dolphins jersey that I'll do at the end of today. That I'll be giving away, and it'll be a surprise. I'm not going to tell y'all. Y'all gotta want to support the show and support what's going on and what we're trying to do here. But if you donate $54 to the show today, you will also get in on an entry to the autographed jersey that I will do this afternoon, which is great. All right. Hey, one of the things that that I haven't really, look, it happened late last night. It was Hall of Fame. We're going to get into the Hall of Fame honors and the show and the awards that were given. But I think a priority of the show should be about Zach Thomas, because look, man, Zach Thomas is one of the reasons I'm a Dolphins fan to this day. I love him. I loved watching him play. Was a huge fan of his. Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Brock Marion, Patrick Surtain, Sam Madison. Those early 2000 defensive unit is a huge reason why I'm a Dolphins fan to this day. A diehard, that is. A lot of people want to say Dan Marino, and Dan Marino was, right? Like my dad, obviously I grew up on Marino, but I don't remember a good portion of Marino's career. I was born in 88. And so by the time he retired in 99 or not 99.
Yep,
yeah,
99.
99. I mean, I was all of 11 years old. And so, my first memories, my very first real Dolphin, like the first Dolphin game I can remember, I've told this story on multiple occasions, unfortunately, is 62-7. Okay. That's my first Dolphin game that I can remember. Now, that's not my favorite one, unfortunately, but it is one nonetheless. And so those Dolphin teams in early 2000s with that Brock Marion and Patrick Surtain and Sam Madison. I remember playing on Madden with those early teams and, making sure that my defense was stacked. Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas. I just loved every single one of them. And so for me, it was a big deal seeing Zach Thomas last night get inducted. And one of the things that I really haven't even I wanted a live reaction to this. So I have not watched this video yet. It's played a million times over social media, the knock. I have not seen the knock video yet. I purposely did not watch it so that I would get a live reaction this morning on the show. So what I want to do right now is just put it up on the screen and get a live reaction from watching it.
Serious?
Zach Thomas, welcome to Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2023.
That's awesome, man.
So proud of you. Proud of you.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey man, look, it's You know, I've gotten to know Richmond Webb a little bit over the last couple of years. Richmond's a great guy. Richmond deserves to also hear that knock one day too, just for the state, just to state for the record. But you know, he also feels as though Zach deserves to be into the hall, and I didn't get a chance to reach out to. I'm going to hope to have Richmond on sometime next week to talk about Zach Thomas making the Hall of Fame. I reached out to Sean Wood and see if Sean would come on this morning. But we'll see what happens. For me, just my mind is kind of flustered because he meant so much to me as a Dolphins fan. And for the first 3 years, for him to get snubbed the way he got snubbed just pissed me off. Really did. You know, I mean, I'm pissed that Richmond's not in for many, many different reasons, and some the same, but that man's numbers, Zach Thomas, were better than Brian Urlacher's, and Brian Urlacher was a first ballot Hall of Famer. And it's absurd to me that Zach didn't get in the first 3 tries and had to get in the fourth. Now, hey, he's in, and I'm happy he's in, and it's what we all wanted. And now I'm thinking about, should I make a drive to Canton this year to go see the induction ceremony? Because I've never done that, and that's something that I think would be really cool. Just give me your thoughts, man, because I know Zach meant a lot to you as well as a Dolphins fan.
I mean, I have a ton of thoughts, and I see, you know, Anthony, our guy, has some questions. I'll get to those, but this is, you know, a time to reflect on fandom. You know, this team means a heck of a lot to so many. Me, of course. I mean, clearly. Dan Marino is the guy that introduced me to football, introduced me to the Dolphins. And growing up, learning the game, that was one thing in like 92 and 3, 94 and 5 for me. You know, learning the game and having the joy of just watching that. And then I become my teenage years. I get my driver's license and I can start to go out and watch every game at bars because I grew up in New York. And then all of a sudden I got this guy, Zach Thomas, who I saw. Here's a story, Steven. I'm sorry if I'm going all over. I'm literally emotional.
Hey, it's our show. Go ahead.
I swear to God, sometimes, you know, when you like look back in your sports life and I'm talking mid 90s, early 90s. So I'm not talking at a time where you could have just rewound something on TiVo or watched it in a clip or micro content on TikTok or Twitter. If you caught something on Saturday or Sunday afternoons on ABC, you got lucky, you know, for a Dolphin fan out of town, so on and so forth. That's why all these moments mean so much to me. But prior to Zach getting drafted, one of the things that I loved about college football, I loved the Bob Hope All-American team. And Bob Hope, for those of a certain age and might not know, was an old school comedian, one of the greatest old school comedians of all time. He did a thing where he would run for years and years the Bob Hope College All-American team, and players would run out and he'd do a little joke about that player, you know, and it was hilarious. And I remember this was right around the time where I started watching.
Wasn't he also The Price is Right? Bob Hope, same Bob Hope?
That's a different one.
Okay, see, I'm young.
Barker.
Only
Bob Barker.
The Price is Right.
You gotta give yourself the button on that.
Come
one.
on down.
Come on down. But no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, I'm watching one more. I used to love this stuff. I used to love all sports that I could absorb as a young kid. And I would watch this Bob Hope, and I saw this guy, Zach Thomas, who had the thickest pads ever, linebacker from Texas Tech. And I just said, that would be a great Dolphin. I would love that guy to be a Dolphin. And like, I watched 1 full draft or 2 full drafts prior to that. So I remember getting settled in to watch the weekend draft, different years, different structures. You know, when Zach's time, it was during the weekend, you know, and it was the 5th round, and they drafted this guy that I remember watching live. I mean, I didn't watch every single player come out of that tunnel, but I caught Zach Thomas, and it just was burrowed into my brain. This guy from Zach Thomas from Texas Tech. And when the Dolphins drafted him, and then when he started getting 150 tackles as a rookie, I'm like, this guy's special.
This guy's legit.
This is legit. And like, I had an immediate affinity because like I saw this and I said to myself, that would be great. And when we drafted him, it was almost like my version of nowadays going on the draft simulators and drafting the guy from Tennessee or drafting the guy from Alabama in the 5th round and saying, I got the pick. I nailed it. That was my equivalent. It was like a 15-year-old saying like, wow, I loved that pick. And watching him is the rest. And I'll get into some other Zach stories throughout the show. I have a couple of like actual personal ones where I've met the man. One of the greatest stories I'll ever say, but we'll tease that, Stephen. A little broadcast. We'll tease that a little bit. But yeah, man, I cried. I teared while watching it. I mean, happy to say it. Man deserves it more than most.
Here's what I know. I think certain players as fans we hold in high regard or have a special place in our hearts, right? And I know that for me, Zach Thomas was one of those players, and it still is to this day. And this orange Dolphins jersey that I got is a big deal. My wife got this jersey for me, and I was like, I wanted an orange jersey. I have an old school Ricky Williams replica. Remember they used to have the authentic and the replica jerseys for back in the day. So I have a replica, and it's like faded, but I still have it. But I was like, I would want another orange jersey. This is my favorite jersey in all of football, by the way. This orange with this logo, which is my favorite logo, which is why I have the tattoo on this arm. Part of it. And I know that for me, seeing him get this award was such a huge deal on many different levels. But number one, because he was so deserving of it. And the other thing that really spoke to me last night is I'm on Twitter and I'm on social media, is seeing how the rest of the Dolphins fans reacted to this. And there was a lot of emotion last night. There were a lot of Dolphin fans that were very emotional, crying. And to me, that just spoke to how big Zach Thomas played a part in all of our fandom being Miami Dolphins fans, which I think is so cool, because it takes a lot to have an emotional connection with somebody probably most of us have never met. And if we have, it's been a handshake and a hello. I'm a huge fan. That's about it, right? You have no personal relationship with them other than every Sunday you played for my favorite team and I enjoyed watching you play, and you just played with such class and just you did it the right way, and it was awesome to watch, and your career just meant so much to me. And that's what Zach Thomas is to Miami Dolphin fans. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And just another reason why we're all so emotional with like this. He did everything right. I mean, he did everything right, continues to do everything right, and he meant so much to me because, as I said, and all of us in that certain age where he was like that gap, that bridge between Marino to post Marino. He was the continuity, and he kind of just kept that. I mean, he flipped it. He turned the team into really a defensive-minded kind of team once Marino left. But those 3-4 years together, he was like he took the torch, as the Dolphin, right, with Jason Taylor. And the importance of what he is he's the underdog spirit in all of us, right? He's the guy that shouldn't have gotten, all pro honors and Pro Bowl honors as, a guy at a small program at the time.
100%.
Who he says, and Zach in his emotional interviews last night, he said, and I disagree with him here. He said it was the right coach that got him into the right system. He could have been a whole other player if it was. I think he would have succeeded no matter where he went because he's just that kind of human being.
His will and his drive was there, right?
But the extent of it, I'll give him, because Jimmy Johnson, and you saw it in Jimmy, and that's where, to me, the first time I saw that video, Stephen, when you heard Jimmy say,
Jimmy knew how big this was.
Let me just shine a little light on the traditional knock with David Baker. He retired, so we're not going to see big man in the blazer knock anymore. We're going to see the people who are inducting them surprise them. Right. And that was what Jimmy's going to obviously be the one to introduce him and enshrine him, right? Which is going to be phenomenal. So Zach obviously saw Jimmy roll up, and obviously Jimmy probably rehearsed and knew exactly how he was going. And that Zach Thomas, when he said that and you heard that like kind of crack in his voice, I lost it. Like when I saw that for the first time last night, that was to me.
I screamed like we had scored a touchdown or won a game at like 11 o'clock or 10:30 at night. And I had the sliding door open. We live in an apartment complex, and my wife's like, "You need to calm down. You're going to wake up the neighbors." And I'm like, "This is big. This is huge. This is just absolutely amazing." Real quick, and we'll get into more. And I want to hear the fans' reaction of what Zach Thomas getting into the Hall of Fame meant to you this morning. I think that's kind of the direction I want this show to go this morning. This was the Hall of Fame class. And there was two things that stuck out to me. For me, seeing, the one person I really wanted to get in and didn't was Devin. I wanted Devin to get in. But Joe Thomas being a first ballot Hall of Famer, who, I called, and Darrelle Revis, also a first ballot Hall of Famer. I was very surprised about that. I think he deserves to get in, but was he a first ballot Hall of Famer, Darrelle Revis?
I think so. Yeah.
I said, look, out of the three guys that were up for first ballot, maybe one of them get in as a first ballot. And it was funny because yesterday I had Cameron on the show, and Cameron's like, Darrelle Revis is going to get in. I'm like, no, Joe Thomas is going to get in. We were both right, but I didn't expect two first ballots to get in. So I was surprised, a little surprised about that. DeMarcus Ware and Rondé Barber, both deserving to obviously get in. It was really cool to see, Rondé get into it. And then, some of these, the older guys, Joe Klecko, I know of him, not as familiar with him. And Chuck Howley, I know of him, not as familiar with him. My grandparents were big Cowboys fans, or at least Roger Staubach fans. So I know a little bit about some of those old Cowboy teams. And then Ken Riley was pretty cool too. I know a little bit of his story. So it's a great class. Great class. Anybody stick out for you?
These are fun classes because, you put yourself into really, I guess for our age and close to our age, prime time, really loving football, watching this kind of carefree individuals going into adulthood, what have you, you know what I mean? But Rondé Barber to me was dominant. Rondé Barber was a beast, he might be a guy who, on my top five, I was 3 out of 5. I did not have Ware or Barber, but when I think about it, Barber was so good remembering him play. I had Hester and Reggie Wayne, the other three I had. But I would have liked to have seen Hester because it would have given a little bit more stock into really, he was the most dominant return man in his position for his era. That to me, how you define a Hall of Famer, which is clearly the Zach Thomas definition, and which is also why it's tough to get wide receivers in. So I'm a little disappointed that a guy like Reggie Wayne didn't get in, but I can understand. I'm happy that Joe Thomas got in because he, regardless of just being on the Browns, what have you, man, was just so dominant. And it's a good story. He's a homegrown. So to me, I would love to see a Miami and Cleveland Hall of Fame game, have those two fan bases.
Miami Cleveland Hall of Fame game. Do you know how cool that would be?
If I'm looking at NFL marketing, Zach was the last guy announced, right? He was the last guy announced. And we're not going alphabetical here because Rondé Barber was pretty much close to him.
I look at that class. Zach Thomas is the headline of that class.
He's the headliner because he's the one that could. Who's putting the tickets? Who's putting the seats?
There'll be more Dolphins fans there than anybody.
Dolphins fans will flock to this.
I do think some Tampa Bay fans will show up for Rondé.
The Jet fans with Klecko and Revis. That's going to probably be big.
Yeah.
But
Jets had a big night last night, by the way, at the NFL Honors.
A scary night, but hey, it's Zach Thomas Day. Forget the Jets.
Yes.
But
well, let's get into a little bit of the awards last night in the NFL Honors, and then I'm going to bring people on one at a time because I want to hear what Zach Thomas meant to y'all as fans. But just real quick, NFL Honors obviously happened last night. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. Our girl Allie got snubbed. I don't know what happened there. It looked like the books were cooked. I wasn't happy about it. Okay, I saw the Captain Morgan commercial, and then I saw the Seahawks fan along with the guy that was presenting, the guy from Community. He's a huge Seahawks fan, and then give it to an award to a Seahawks play, Geno Smith, who won, the Seahawks guy. I'm just saying it looked too good to be true, Jason. I think Allie really won, and she got snubbed. Okay, that's the story, and I'm sticking to it.
One of my favorite movie terms, and if anybody wants to throw in the chat what movie it's from, I'm gonna send you a card. Something was rotten in Denmark.
Something is rotten in Denmark. It was funny because I was texting Allie the entire game, or the entire night. She was on the red carpet. I was texting her, and she's texting back, and I was before everything got whatchamacallit, Noob says, "Hey, I voted for the Seahawks guy. We won. Heck yeah."
Oh, get him out of here, Noob. I like Noob, but get him out. Too soon, Noob. Too soon.
Too soon, exactly. One of the things that I texted Allie last night, I said, "Hey, are you at least having fun?" And because at this point we were talking, I'm like, "Hey, look, are you sitting in the back?" Or she was sitting in the back on the top. And I was like, is there any other? We were trying to like get a feel of, okay, if you won, would they have you sitting up there? Are there other FODIes is what they're called, fans of the year, FODIes, sitting? And she's like, no, all the FODIes are sitting together. The only one is the person in the wheelchair that's sitting down below. And she's like, they're definitely keeping it secret from us. And then as we're getting further and further into the night, she's like, they would have come and got me if I had won it already. And she's like, I don't think I'm going to win. I was like, it doesn't matter. You won in my book. That, and when it happened, I said, hey, are you at least having a good time? She's like, quote, Allie said, I'm about to get a swear jar. She said, fuck yeah, it's the best day ever. So I was like, okay. She got to meet some really cool people. If you followed her social media last night, she got to meet Joy Taylor, a couple of NFL players, and it was pretty. That experience had to have been amazing for her. And I'm going to have her on next week to talk about it. But that experience had to have been awesome.
So deserving. I mean, fandom check. She's got that. Work done in the community. We all know that. Enthusiasm. I mean, she deserved it. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it was a little. Once I saw, the way that they presented, I'm like, oh, come on, this is a little. It's almost like you're watching like the People's Choice Awards, and you see all the nominees, but you know that one guy is there or one actress is there, and that's who they're going to give it to, because I don't know, it just felt. I wish they would have shown the tally. Give me the top 10 vote getters. Make that public. You obviously don't want to list the 32. You don't want anyone to feel bad, But I would be very, very, very shocked if Allie fell outside of the top 3, quite frankly. But I saw how
I want to see the voting. Okay, I want to see the results. Captain Morgan, we want to see results. Captain Morgan, open it up. Show us the books.
Show us the top 10. But yeah, they're not going to show us the tally. But
I want to know who won. I want to see it. All right, let's talk a little bit about. Let's talk a little bit about
that from last time.
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw like a lot of those pictures that she took with, she met the commish, met Jalen Phillips, but
Rich Eisen, who I love.
It seemed that she met her genuine hero, and she documented that in Joy Taylor, and that's an experience that I would say is probably the most, priceless. So for her to meet someone who was her hero and an idol, that's hell of a year, Allie. Congratulations to you.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing, the thing. I have gotten to meet, like, I'm a big NFL Sunday ticket guy, and I have been for years because I've been a Sunday ticket holder, like, user for years. It was Andrew Siciliano.
Oh.
And 2 years ago, or was it not this past year, but the season before, we played the Thursday night game, or it was a night game against the Ravens. And we won. Remember, we beat Lamar Jackson. It was the beginning, like the second game of our big win streak the year before. Last year. And I was sitting first row with Allie that game in the deep end, and Siciliano was there, and Siciliano came up. I have a really cool photo where he takes my phone with everybody in the deep end going like this, pointing to me. Huge Siciliano fan. I like announcers. It's what I want to do. Ultimately, I want to do play-by-play and stuff like that one day. But I get it. That's pretty cool. All right, let's talk a little bit about the winners from last night. And where you see one of the things was offensive and defensive rookie of the years were won from somebody from the same team. And it was unfortunately the New York Jets. Garrett Wilson, wide receiver for the New York Jets, and Sauce Gardner, who I did think was deserving, along with Aiden Hutchinson. I did think Sauce was deserving of his. Garrett, I'd argue that, but Sauce was most definitely deserving. What did you think about the offensive and defensive rookie of the years going to the Jets with Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner?
I mean, they're good players. Obviously, the Jets really going into the season graded extremely well in their draft. And these were two players that unfortunately the Dolphins are going to have to see twice a year. I don't have any beef with the selection. I know a lot of people like to say that Sauce Gardner likes to hold. We've seen it, but he is a great player, of course. And Garrett Wilson is a very talented receiver as well. So I'm not gonna hold any feet to the fire on this one. But the Jets are a team that unfortunately we're gonna have to worry about talent.
Look, the Jet, look, I don't know what they're. I'll tell you, watching the game, I watched everything last night. The red carpet, because I wanted to see if I would see Allie. So I watched it all last night, all the coverage, including the red carpet show. And Joe Namath, who's obviously said some crazy stuff in his time, okay? He's been known to say some crazy things or two, but he was like, well, the Jets just need to get a good quarterback because they don't have a quarterback there in New York. Like, just blunt, real blunt about it. Do you think, just real quick, just to touch on the conversation, are the Jets a quarterback away from like being in the dogfight, as Noob just says, the dogfight in the division?
If I'm answering the question like that, yeah, they are a quarterback away from being in the dogfight, which means that they're a contender. So, yeah.
I don't know if they're a dogfight, a quarterback away from being in the. We'll use another analogy. A mad dude said dogfight. Look,
9-10 wins. Being a contender and in the dogfight is 9-10 wins. I mean, if you ask me if they're a Super Bowl contender, I will say no. Because they're still 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
We were 9 wins with everything minus our quarterback, which I don't want to get into and have that conversation today. But again, like, I don't think they're. You mean to tell me that their team's just as good as ours, and if they had a quarterback, they would be. You think they would be at 9 or 10 wins with a better quarterback, where we are going to be at 11 or 12 with an upgrade or more healthy at quarterback?
I mean, look, gun to head, they get Aaron Rodgers, they get Derek Carr, they get Jimmy Garoppolo. Can they get 2 more wins than what they had last year? Yeah, maybe. That's basically how I'm going to answer it.
Well,
but I'm not going to my personal opinion, and you can call me a hater, I don't think that they're a dogfight. They're a quarterback away from being in the fight. Personal opinion, I don't think so. And maybe that's it sounds hating as a Dolphins fan or coming from a Dolphins fan, but I will say that this past draft, I was really impressed with their draft selections. And I don't know if that is a Robert Saleh choice or not, but I will say that Sauce Gardner is going to be a nightmare for us for years to come. And I think he's one of the best. Sauce Gardner has a very good chance. I said the night he was drafted, I said, man, it's Darrelle Revis all over again. I said it's Revis Island all over again with Sauce Gardner. He's going to be a shut-down defensive player. And I was right. Like, his numbers showed it last year. And he's got the swag. To me, and look, do I think he's as good as Deion? Probably not. But no one will ever be as good as
But no one will ever be, right? But his swagger and personality is very Deion-esque. So I thought it was cool that Deion presented that award too, by the way, to him, which I thought was awesome. All right, let's talk about defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa. Do you think Nick Bosa was the defensive player of the year for the NFL?
Yeah. I mean, Micah Parsons could have easily gotten it, but Bosa's a beast. He's had a phenomenal defense, but reasons why that defense is phenomenal, he's got a lot of reason to do with that. Obviously, he gets, as he even credited to his teammates, it's a team defense. He's just doing his job, but he does his job remarkably well. You look at his brother, you look at his former Dolphin dad, he's got the pedigree. Guy's a beast. No argument.
Yeah, no argument. Look, I thought that it would, Nick was definitely more than deserving of it. The numbers were there. He played on a great defense. I really didn't know who else it really could go to except for him. Personal opinion. So I wasn't upset with that pick. Now, offensive player of the year did not go to a quarterback. It went to a wide receiver. And it went to one that I think was more than deserving of it, and that was Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, I know as Dolphin fans, our allegiance and our undying loyalty is to Tyreek Hill. And I love Tyreek. Absolutely love that man. And I'm so happy he's a Miami Dolphin, and I hope he stays here for years to come, or at minimum wins a Super Bowl for us during his tenure here. That's what I want, okay? But I think Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the NFL. Not by much, but he's there. And personally, it's more physical attributes that give him that edge over Tyreek more than anything. That's it. That's the only reason. But do you think Justin Jefferson was deserving of Offensive Player of the Year? I do, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, he's a beast. I mean, this kid is phenomenal. I have a couple of guys that I like to root for outside of the Dolphins, and he's one of them. Nothing wrong with that. If Tyreek was not going to win that award, I'm fine with who won. And Jefferson is more than deserving.
Well, by the way, give me your top 3 wide receivers in football right now.
Oh, well, there you go. I would say he's the number 1. So Justin Jefferson. And I hate saying it, but I got to be objective. I got to be objective. People are going to slay me. Diggs and then Hill. I think
Stephon's better than Tyreek.
I mean, look. I mean, with what?
And you don't put. And by the way, I was very surprised you didn't say DK Metcalf.
I mean, there's so many good receivers. You could pick 5 or 6, and you could put Devontae Adams in there. There's so many receivers in there that you could put in that top 5.
I don't know if I would put Stephon over Tyreek, but I would put him right under him. Right, like personally for me, it's Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Stephon Diggs.
Jamar Chase is so good. Tough. It's really. I hate having to decide between these 5 or even 6 guys, but I have to put Hill in that top 3 with Jefferson. So it's that second one that's. All
right. Would you take Jamar Chase over Stephon?
You know what?
Would you take Stephon over Jamar Chase?
So tough. If I'm starting a team, I'd take Chase.
That's fair.
Starting a team, I'd take Chase.
That's fair.
That's how I'll back out of that answer.
All right, Air Player of the Year and Ground Player of the Year. Ground Player of the Year was Josh Jacobs, and Air Player of the Year was Joe Burrow. Josh Jacobs is going to be a potential free agent. Depends on what the Aaron Rodgers situation is. If Rodgers goes to Vegas, in personal opinion, Josh Jacobs will stay in Vegas. If they don't get a quarterback of a significant value, Josh Jacobs is going to be a free agent. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the ground player and Josh Jacobs, and then obviously Joe Burrow being air player? I think that's fair. You think Joe Burrow probably had the best arm of the year?
Yeah. I mean, Burrow,
he was significantly putting up 340 yards a game.
They had that win streak, and he was just wheeling and dealing. Josh Jacobs, great year. I like how they're naming it the Jim Brown Award now. That's fantastic. As much as there's a connection of Josh Jacobs with college teammates to the Dolphins, if he is a free agent, I just don't think it's a path that Chris Greer and Brandon Shore budget for with huge money to running backs. Mm-hmm. If they are going to deviate from that plan, this would be the year to do it. Do I think that they're going to deviate from that plan? 60% of me says no. 40% of me says, you know what? Maybe they realize what's been troubling them and they match someone with Raheem Mostert. But then, of course, you're going from a $5 million backfield with him and Wilson to a $20 million backfield. So I don't know. But Jacobs is deserving of that award.
All right, before we're going to save MVP for last and the Walter Payton Award for last. Let's talk about some of the Art Rooney Award, Calais Campbell, and the Salute to Service Award, Ron Rivera. I think those are real. There's not really much to talk about other than say with the exception of Calais taking out Ryan Tannehill for our playoff run, there's not too many bad things I can say about Calais Campbell besides him taking out Tannehill for our playoff run.
And the pouring rain, it was like that. That was like, it was almost like he
I
was a
hated
villain.
him for a year.
I
hated him, and then he came to he came here to Baltimore where I live, and I had a chance to interact with him, and he's like a gentle giant. He's one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet, and I'm like, I can't hate you anymore. Like you're nice. You're a nice guy.
Exactly.
And Ron Rivera, who's been in the league forever, I thought it was really cool. He got this. He's done a lot for military members in the military, and I thought it was really, really cool to do. So
Rivera's great people.
They are right. Like I think he was very, very deserving, both of them. D'Amico Ryan's assistant coach of the year. He is now the head coach down in Houston. D'Amico more than deserving of that award. There's not too many other people that I think could have won that a clear and outright. I think only 2 other people got voted, maybe 3 other people got voted.
I mean,
he was clear cut.
Everyone knew he was going to be the head coach who was an assistant coach taking that leap. So it just makes sense for him to get that award unanimously, or pretty much unanimously.
So the rumor is he was offered 3 head coaching jobs. He was offered Denver, Arizona, and Houston. So, you know, it's definitely interesting. All right, let's go to coach of the year. Somebody who was a finalist of our coaching search a little bit over a year ago, and now this year he's coach of the year for the NFL. So let's talk about that. Let's get into that. First of all, Brian Daboll being coach of the year. Were you surprised? What did you think about his coaching job in New York this year? And then we'll get into, do we have buyer's remorse? Because I think it's a fair question.
Deserving. Did great things with a giant team that, if you probably asked that fan base retrospectively, do you all expect to make the playoffs this year? And they probably would have said, no, let's build. Let's regroup, you know, let's see what he's got. So I think he majorly exceeded expectation. And you mentioned just about a moment or 2 ago that D'Amico Ryan's got 3 offers. Let's just say that Brian Daboll got multiple offers last year too. And he chose the Giants because that was that match. That was the perfect match. I think that was the only, we want him number 1, I want them number 1 coaching search match, because as we've all discussed, sometimes a team doesn't get their number 1, they get their number 2. Sometimes a coach doesn't get their number 1, they get their number 3. You know, the Daboll Giants situation was just tailor-made together. Despite interest from other teams, Daboll went through the motions, but it is absolutely a home run hire for the Giants. He fits in perfectly. He did a phenomenal job. And the only other person that I think could have won the award would be Peterson, because that's just a massive hop, skip, and a jump from what they were last year, and making the playoffs and winning a playoff game. So, you know, would have put
look, I think that, you know, going through all of the coach of the year candidates, and I don't even want to talk about finalists. I think 2 people really stand out for me. One of them, just because I've had the chance to observe, was Robert Saleh. I think Saleh's a hell of a coach.
Oh, hell of a coach.
I do. I think he's a hell of a coach, and I think that, unfortunately, he coaches at one of the teams I hate more than anything in this world, and that's the Jets. And I hate them. And I have no problem saying that.
Oh, I have no problem saying
that. But I think he's a hell of a coach. And the other one was still in our division, and that was Sean McDermott, right? And I think they both had obstacles that they had to get around this year. And now neither one of them obviously made any major noise. I mean, we can argue that the Bills were number 2 in the AFC. Of course they made some noise. Okay, that's fair. But still, like, they almost lost to us in a 7th string or a 7th round, 3rd string rookie quarterback in the first round of the playoffs. And then they proceed to get killed in the next round of Cincinnati. But, you know, I think that those 2 people stuck out for me majorly, who I think are pretty decent head coaches. As far as coaches of the year, I was like, well, I need somebody that took their team to that next level, right? And I think the guy for me was probably Daboll. And so last night I'm sitting there, and by the way, I didn't want Daboll. I voted against him from day one. He was our offensive coordinator for like a year or two. I didn't like him when he was here as our offensive coordinator. I didn't want him. I think what he did with the Giants was absolutely unreal.
Mhm.
Like, he took a team that had no business being in the playoffs and got them to the playoffs, and was very surprised with how good that team is. So I think he was, coach of the year. So I mean, look, I don't think there was another person that was there, but I had people last night on social media saying we should have went with Daboll over McDaniel because he got coach of the year. Don't get buyer's remorse because somebody wins an award like coach of the year. Understand that McDaniel was the person for our team and Daboll was the person for the Giants, which I like the way that you put. Do you agree with that?
After the process, that's why it's a process. That's why you interview multiple people. You set yourself up for contingency plans. And as I said, if we really want to go back into every year of coaching searches, again, like you mentioned, again, DeMeco Ryan. I mean, who knows who Denver's? Was it Sean Payton? Was that the first choice, or did they want someone else? Was Payton wanting Denver? Maybe he wanted something else. Maybe
DeMeco Ryans was Denver's first choice. DeMeco Ryan said, "Peace.
There you go.
Don't want you."
Right. Well,
Which I think says so much about John Elway and the situation. Like, to me, it says John Elway, Russell Wilson, and having no draft capital for the next 4 years. Why? Like, there's no reason for me to go there. But I also was the same person that was months earlier saying, if you want to go to Houston and that trash of an organization, he chose Houston over Denver. And now that I think about it, if I had to choose only between the two, maybe that's who I go with.
I'll tell you, man, when you're trying to get into the mind of the person accepting a job, and I'm someone who has done this for a living as a recruiter and helping people with this, not football, but it's similar. If someone's offered a job, there are so many intangibles that you have to look at if it's the right job for them: location, money, responsibilities, staff, subordinates, people above them, structure, everything. So we don't know. We can't just say better team, better roster, better money. We can't say that with anybody. So what organizations do, they announce 5 interviews. There's a competition. There's a search for a coach. There's not a immediate offer for a coach. There is a search. It's a process. And if it was an easy process, nobody would be fired because everyone would get their number one and everything would be hunky-dory every year for every team. That doesn't happen like that. So unfortunately, there are going to be firings every year and there are going to be searches every year. And it is going to be few and far between that teams and coaches get the absolute fantastic home run. Not saying you can't get a nice triple, which is looking like what a couple of teams have done.
No doubt. All right, let's go to the final 2 awards, and then we'll reset and discuss a little bit more Zach Thomas into the Hall of Fame, which is what we all really want to get into a little bit more and talk about. The 2 last awards that I want to get into was actually there's 3. We'll talk about 3. Comeback Player of the Year, Geno Smith, 100% deserving of that. I went around the NFL. I looked. I was like, I know who's going to win it next year. DeMar, if he comes back and plays on the field, which we saw in the news yesterday that the NFL's leading doctor said there's no reason that DeMar can't come back. But I could Geno, as far as his career, taking the Seahawks to the playoffs, and the Seahawks seem to love him, by the way, and the fans seem to love him in Seattle. It seems like that I was thinking. I was like, man, I wonder if Seattle will go after a quarterback. They like Geno Smith, man. They like him. And they think that they can win with him. So I thought that was really cool. The next one was the Walter Payton Award, Dak Prescott. To hear his story about his mom dying before, she never got the chance to see him play really on the college level or the pro level. And then his brother, obviously, taking his own life, and that's something big that we talked about here on our platform. I even have the thing 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you guys feel the need to talk to somebody, you can always call 988. There's always somebody there for you. And just his story and his family and what he's gone through. I mean, that whole situation is I don't even know what to get into, but I just know that his story, I didn't know the ins and outs and the details of it. So, and what he does off the field, Dak just seems like he's a really cool guy.
Oh, 100%.
And then obviously the MVP award, which we'll get into here in a second. But let's just talk Geno Smith and Dak Prescott real quick, and then we'll get into the MVP. Your thoughts about either one?
No beef. I mean, look, as someone who, and look, we could all joke around as Dolphin fans when Jets miss on quarterbacks. And yeah, we all joked around that Geno was a miss for the Jets. So when someone could turn their career around and kind of have a resurrection in a different organization, a different coast. I mean, look, there's really no further place that you can go from New York to the Pacific Northwest, you know? So for Geno to get out was great and good for him. And he made a 2.0 on his career, and good for him. I hope it continues for him. I truly do. He was fun to watch in college. I'll give you that. He was a lot of fun to watch in college.
He was, man. He was most definitely that. Let's get into the last thing, man. MVP. MVP. Patrick Mahomes was named NFL's MVP. Look, he's playing on the Super Bowl on Sunday. He has been the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. He's now a 2-time NFL MVP. He's won a Super Bowl, been to another, and was a Super Bowl MVP in the Super Bowl that he won. And if he wins this Sunday, he will have been one of a rare few that win the Super Bowl win the MVP and win the Super Bowl in the same year.
Yes.
Okay, there are not too many people that have done that.
10 of them.
Okay. So I said this last night to my wife, and I've thought about it a little bit more, and I said it, just blurted it out. I don't think I gave it much thought. But I think I'm correct. If he wins on Sunday, he's automatically top 5 quarterback in the history of the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
The numbers, everything supports that.
No beef.
Is he that good?
He's that good.
Is Patrick Mahomes that good?
He's that good. I mean, look, we've seen quarterbacks improv. We've seen quarterback. I mean, Dan Marino threw behind had some really trickeration kind of throws in pinches, you know, but Mahomes is like a robot. Some of the throws that he's made, that when he was parallel to the ground, a yard up, and throwing that sideline pass, when he does these little pitch plays, and of course the strength of the arm, if he wins the Super Bowl, you got to probably put him at 5. I mean, you have to. It's multiple Super Bowls.
I automatically think he's top 10. Like, without a question, there's not even a debate. I think he's personally top 5. Like, I don't know. There are very few quarterbacks that have 2 Super Bowl wins. Right. There are very few quarterbacks that have 2 NFL MVPs. He has a potential to he'll have 2 MVPs and potentially 2 Super Bowls. That's a big deal. And by the way, he's been to the 3, and the third, and the one he lost to the GOAT. He lost to Brady. It's not like he lost to some random team. He lost to Brady. So
like when you're putting together your list of quarterbacks, there's quarterbacks who were on good teams and helped them win. You know, there were quarterbacks like you can't necessarily put into multiple winning Super Bowl quarterbacks and say they're the top quarterbacks of all time, like a Bradshaw or Eli Manning. But if Mahomes wins multiple championships, now you're talking like Elway, now you're talking Peyton Manning, you're talking Brady, Montana, you're talking the quarterbacks who have that skill. Troy Aikman was product of a tremendous Dallas Cowboys system. So Troy Aikman was almost like, you know, that Dallas Cowboy couple of champions teams, receivers, running back, behind the offensive line, the defense, coaching, forget about it. So I can't put Troy Aikman even in my top 10. He and Bradshaw and Eli are in those multiple Super Bowl winning quarterback conversations for just, you know, very good quarterbacks on the team.
He's a 5-time Pro Bowler. He's first team All-Pro twice, second team All-Pro once, NFL Offensive Player of the Year, 2-time NFL MVP, Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champion. He's been to 2 Super Bowls already. He's going to his 3rd. He's the NFL. He's been the NFL passing leader. He's led the league in NFL passing touchdowns twice. I mean, the numbers support my top 5 statement.
I can't be in a debate to argue against it. You know, maybe he falls on some people's top 7 or 6, but I mean,
if you move him into top 5, who would be the guy that would get pushed out of the top 5?
If Drew Brees is in your top 5, you knock him out, but he shouldn't be in the top 5 to begin with. I don't think.
Right. So let's have some questions. Is Patty Mahomes better than Peyton Manning?
Not yet.
If he wins on Sunday?
Talk to me on Sunday if that happens, if we're asking that question. If we're asking that specific question, because Peyton Manning had done it for a lot longer at this point, and he's the only person the first person to win it with 2 franchises. Brady the second. Kurt Warner didn't make that feat possible because he lost the Super Bowl. But
is Patrick Mahomes better than Brett Favre?
Yes.
Is Patrick Mahomes better than Kurt Warner?
Yes.
Is Patrick Mahomes better than Eli Manning?
Yes.
Is Patrick Mahomes better than Drew Brees?
Yes.
Right. And so we go top quarterbacks of all time. It's Brady. He's not better than Brady.
No. See, here's where, and I hate to interrupt. Here's where I separate the question. And again, I'm giving myself like an out, like I'm like a hedge fund manager here. But quarterbacks. We have the quarterback when you look at a guy like a Brady Montana, Manning, you know, the multiple. I mean, you look at those guys. Those are
Is he better than Montana already?
From a skill position, here's the thing. This is the thing. We have a guy who could throw a football. Who is the greatest to throw a football? It's Marino. I mean, you got to put throwers. Who is
to me like throwers? But we're biased. We're Dolphins fans. If we say
Mahomes is there already,
2 things. Number one, I'd like to think that if I wasn't a Dolphins fan, that I would still put Marino in my top 5 because I try to look at it objectively. I know he never won a ring. I get that. But he was hands down the most accurate quarterback all time in the history of the NFL.
If there is no Marino,
and he could swing it like nobody else.
If there is no Marino, there's no Patrick Mahomes, there's no Manning, there's no Brees, there's no Favre, there's no emulation of a passing attack. I mean, even Joe Montana said the other day, like on social media, I love it when old quarterbacks call him Danny. Oh, it's like literally the greatest thing. And Montana said, "Oh, Danny was in the league, he threw for 6,000 yards." Oh, Danny would Danny this year. I mean, Marino would be so lethal because he invented the air attack.
Before Brady, Montana was considered the GOAT.
Yes.
And Montana says that Marino was the best to ever play.
You'll ask John Elway, Danny. That's what they'll say. They will say Danny. Because if he got one
Kelly too.
Kelly would say the same thing, 100%. Yep. And Marino was in their draft. That's the draft class, 83. I mean, you're looking at Elway, Kelly, Marino.
So is Brady better than Jim Kelly? I mean, excuse me, not Brady. We know the answer to that. No, is Mahomes better than Jim Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, Kelly was a beast, and I have a huge affinity for Jim.
By the way, he looked rough, man. He looks so rough. It's so sad to see.
He's a fighter. He is. I mean, like I went to school in Buffalo. I mentioned it. Quick sidebar on Jim Kelly. I love this dude. You know, I've ran into Jim Kelly a number of times while I was doing a lot of internships as a student in Buffalo. And this is like the guy's the mayor. I mean, he is the king of Buffalo and the nicest man. Just the nicest man. I saw him at like 3 separate events. And at like the last event that I saw him, he like did like a double take. I was interning for a AAA baseball club. And he was just shocked to see me again.
In Buffalo?
In Buffalo, yeah. Well, as a student, I interned for the football team. I interned for the basketball team.
You interned for what are they called? The Buffalo
Bisons, yeah.
Buffalo Bisons, right?
I worked for the Buffalo Bisons for 2 years in my summers going into Buffalo. And yeah, real quick. I already had met him like 3 or 4 times. Wanted like a Buffalo trade show, like a hunting expo that I was doing a marketing job for or something.
That's so cool.
Jim Kelly was doing a guest play-by-play with Duke Snyder, the voice of the Buffalo Bisons.
Duke Snyder,
or something. Duke Duke, whatever his name is, Jim, I don't know, Duke something. But and I walk in with the out of town scores to give to the team, and I didn't know that Jim Kelly was in the booth, and I had to give like the international scores every couple of innings. So I knock on the door as a media relations intern. I hand the paper of the scores so they could announce the minors in the American League and National League. And then all of a sudden I see Jim Kelly just like turn around. He did like a double take, covered his microphone, saying, "You again?" And this is the year that Meet the Parents came out. And so I swear to God, as cool as I can be, I looked at him dead in the eye. "I'm everywhere, Kelly," and I left. And that was it.
Smooth.
Swear to God.
My Jim Kelly experience was at the Orange Bowl in Miami when during the turnover chain year with the Honorable Solo D. The Honorable Solo got to perform at the Orange Bowl that year. You know, the turnover chain song took the sports world by storm. And Miami made the Orange Bowl against Wisconsin. And so, obviously Kelly being from the University of Miami and having that affinity for Miami was there. And so before Solo performed on stage outside the stadium, there was a huge stage that they had outside the stadium, and Solo got to perform there. Kelly was there because they had just introduced Jim Kelly. And Jim knew Solo, knew his song, and he turns around and I'm with Solo and we're sitting there and he shakes the hand of all of us and just starts chatting it up, and the nicest guy in the world. And I said, "Hey man, we're Dolphins fans and I've wanted to hate you my entire life, but you're the nicest guy in the world." And he laughed. He's like, "I get that all the time from Dolphins fans. I get that all the time.
You can't hate this man."
And he's like, I don't blame you for being a Dolphins fan. It's okay. We all love Danny. And he said the same thing. We all love Danny. And so it was really cool, man. I have a lot of love for him. So last night when I saw Jim Kelly and his voice and just how, and I don't mean he just looked rough, and it was sad to me,
He, again, Buffalo story real quick, and then we'll move on. But I worked a charity game with Dan Marino and Jim Kelly. It was called The Last Showdown, and it was for Jim Kelly's late son Hunter, who had an affliction, and it was called Hunter's Hope, the charity. And a lot of old school Dolphins were there, Dan Marino included, of course. A lot of old school Bills were there, and it was held at the University of Buffalo's football field. And so my sports information director said, "Hey, Jason, I know it's the summer, you're working at a sleepaway camp, but drive on up, you'll meet Marino." I had a chance to shake Marino's hand for a tenth of a second. That was it, because I was like a sideline reporter. But Jim Kelly raised a ton of money for that foundation, does a ton for that community. And a weird thing, Scott Norwood, remember Scott Norwood, the guy?
Scott Norwood, the kicker.
The kicker, right. This was actually one of his.
The one who missed it.
The one who missed the kick. So this is, what year is this? This is.
If it wasn't for him missing that kick, they might actually have a Super Bowl ring.
So listen, I'll never forget this. It was going into my senior year. So it was like 2000. They're going into my junior year. So it was like 2001, 2002, whatever. And then they announced Scott Norwood by saying, "In his return to Buffalo, where the weather is warm and so are the people, Scott Norwood." It was almost like they needed to because he didn't return to Buffalo. He's almost like the Bill Buckner of Buffalo.
No, that is not true. He returned for one more year after that.
No, I'm saying after his career. After his career.
Oh yeah. He never played again in the NFL.
That's what I'm saying. It's like when he was showing up
that
at the charity event.
So
that was the Finkel kick.
So it was the Finkel kick, by the way. That was the video footage that they used for it. Real quick. When I watched the 30 for 30, the four falls of the Four Falls of Buffalo or whatever it's called, which by the way was a great documentary, great 30 for 30. Scott Norwood is one of the saddest stories in the NFL history. He was one of the most accurate and best kickers in the NFL his entire career. Misses the biggest kick of all time in the Super Bowl. Gets to play one more year there. So it doesn't look like, hey, we got rid of you. They wanted to get rid of him after that. Guaranteed, right? Never played again in the NFL. That's not one of the saddest stories. I don't know what is. Okay?
Probably Ray Finkel.
I don't know what is. Ritter with the $10 donation. Thank you, man. Thank you, Ritter. Other than the obvious injuries, what's your biggest disappointment on the season? Let me hit the reset button, and then we'll get to that, Ritter. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Want to remind you guys, if you're watching right now, to get your Super Bowl boxes. Anybody who donates over $100 today for these Super Bowl boxes, which are you can only get on Cash App and PayPal. And by the way, I've updated this thing. So this thing is got some more names on there. Caslin got some more boxes and everything. So all this is updated. Big Dougie B got some more boxes. We probably got about 50 boxes left. If you get over $100 in boxes, $25 a box, I will put your name into a autographed jersey giveaway from a former or current player of the Miami Dolphins. So go ahead and get that in. If you donate $54 to the channel today, you will also get that as well. Get into the drawing for the autographed jersey as well. We're just sitting here. We're talking, Zach Thomas, and I want to allow you, the fans, to talk about him. So let me just throw this out there before we kind of transition to that, because I want to. Ritter paid the $10 for the donation. I want to go ahead and at least answer it. Other than the obvious injuries, what's your biggest disappointment? I think just not winning a playoff game, just in general. My goal at the beginning of the year was I want the Dolphins to obviously make the playoffs, but win a playoff game. To me, that was the goal for this year, and they did not reach their goal for this year. At least my goal for them. Maybe it wasn't I don't know what their goal was. For me, my goal for them was to win a playoff game, and they didn't do that. But they came so close. And I tell people all the time, and some people agree with me and some people don't, Ritter, but I would rather get blown out all day, every day, because at least I know my team sucks at that point, rather than lose the game like we lost in the playoffs, 34-31. Because to me, the close games hurt so much more, because you think about you go back to different points of the game. You're like, if we had just done this right, or we just had done this right. At least in a blowout, you're like, all right, my team sucks. We have no shot, right? But man, that was probably my biggest disappointment, was just not making the playoffs. What was your biggest disappointment this year?
I got two. The defensive coordination. I didn't want him, and I thought it was a mistake going in. I just was not down with the Boyer. And that was a very big disappointment. That third downs were a mess all year, the penalties. So I'm thankful that is gone. Secondly, the disappointment to me, and I get it. I get that Mike Gesicki was not a good blocker. To me, you should have just, and call me crazy, you should have just up and converted him to a slot receiver. I mean, just literally converted him to a slot receiver. And why I think that even that might have been thrown off the table was kind of the semi-emergence of, like, Trent Sherfield handling that duty kind of well. And of course, Waddle and Hill were getting their own. But I thought they could have done more with the skill set of Gesicki from a pass-catching standpoint, not necessarily relying on him to be a blocker, which we all know that he can't. We will see Gesicki somewhere next year, not having to give a gee whiz about blocking. And
gee whiz.
I don't know why I said that, man. I don't know. I'm annoyed. The Gesicki's going to piss me up. So he's not going to give a shit about blocking, and he's going to score about 11 touchdowns next year or something. Somewhere he's going to go off.
All right.
But anyway.
Ritter, I appreciate the donation. Means a lot, man. Trying to raise money for the channel and help the channel grow. Okay. It is Spread Kindness Friday. It is Zach Thomas Day. We're both rocking the number 54. This is a show that is made for the fans by the fans. But today's topic is Zach Thomas. And I want us to come up here one at a time, and I want you to talk about your favorite Zach Thomas story, or watching him, or what he meant to you in the game, because this is a big deal. Zach Thomas making the Hall of Fame. As Dolphin fans, we've been yearning and clamoring for this for 3+ years, and we were into our fourth, and it was just something where we were. I'm going to tell you right now. Here's the thing: he was the last person to get called. I was getting angrier and angrier with every person that was. I was like, if he doesn't get it, I swear I'm not playing. I'm gonna lose my crap tomorrow. I'm gonna go crazy, man. I'm gonna go absolutely nuts and insane. I'm not playing with this. And And so when the last one happened, I was like, yes, I had all this energy built up, and I let out this excitement, and I was so excited for it, man. All right. It is Zach Thomas time. I'm opening up the lines for you to come on and talk about Zach Thomas. I want to try to keep the focus on Zach. That's where we want to go with that, man. Jason, you said you had another really cool story while we're waiting for people to get lined up here in the back. What is a good Zach Thomas story that you have?
This is one of my favorite of all time. It was my senior year of high school, and I delivered a lot of pizzas, Steven, to earn a trip for spring break with my buddies. You know, a lot of pizza delivery, and we went to the Bahamas, and we stayed at like the Nassau Island, right? And then we heard that over on the other island, like the Atlantis, like a nice cab ride away, that Michael Jordan was gambling there. So we wanted to get into a cab and go on over and see Michael Jordan. We missed Michael Jordan. So we decided to just stick around, walk around, and just enjoy ourselves. And I saw who I could have sworn was Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas and another friend of theirs playing crap. So I gathered enough energy. I walked right up to Zach Thomas and I said, "Hey, Zach, how you doing? I'm a big Dolphin fan." He's like, "Oh, how big of a Dolphin fan are you?" I'm like, 5th round, Texas Tech, Bob Hope, All-American, Jason Taylor from Akron. I start rattling off all my stuff. And he's like, "All right." And he kind of brings me on into the table. I'm like, okay, this is like actually happening. I'm getting pulled over by, and hand to God, this is literally happening. And my two friends just kind of like are in awe, and they like back up and just let me be. And I'm like, chilling with Zach Thomas, who's watching his then brother-in-law Jason Taylor handle a crap table like he was handling a Buffalo Bill lineman, man. Just working this thing, right? And I'm just watching. And then, of course, Zach,
let's go, baby. Gotta get it. Got it.
Exactly.
Mama needs some shoes.
Exactly. And I'm just like watching Zach, watching him, and Zach's just, drinking, having fun. JT's smoking on a cigar the size of a yacht. And this is like me as like a high school senior enjoying my favorite football players right in front of me. And then all of a sudden, Zach starts asking me questions. Man, where you from? And is like opening up to me. And I'm like, I'm from Long Island. Yeah. And I'm like talking. And then I start asking him questions about, the draft, because the draft's like 2 weeks away. It's spring. We're closing in on the selection process. So he starts telling me that they're going to start thinking about running backs. I'm like, you got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he does this. All right. So, whatever. Mind you, he was traded week 3 the following season. But anyway, he starts telling me that they were going to think about running back. They drafted 2 running backs, including Rob Conrad in their first 2 picks. And in the 4th round, drafted Cecil Collins. But in addition to that, he started telling me stories. He told me the story of Marino and McDuffie making him and Izzo run through the golf course naked that was told on the fish tank years, later. He was telling me so many hazing stories. He was literally talking to me for like 45 minutes. And to me, it was just the most amazing thing. Like, this is just this all-pro football player just chatting with me. And from then on, it was just like, this is just unbelievable. So when I get back to the other island where all my friends are, they didn't believe me. And then when we're watching the
dude, I just played craps with Zach Thomas and Jason Taylor. And you guys, your life sucks and mine rules. And you guys can't tell me nothing.
These are a bunch of Jet fans and Giant fans. So they're like, yeah, big deal. And we were watching the draft together. I'm like, running back. Lo and behold.
I'll tell you, it's really interesting when you get a chance to really hang out with somebody that you watched. I've gotten to hang out a little bit with Sean Wood, and not too much, but I've gotten to drink with them and eat with them and break bread and talk. Same thing, with Richmond and for me, it's really unique and cool because you realize these guys are just like us. They just make a couple more zeros in their paycheck than you and I do. But they're just and I know it's so cliche to say, and I know it's easier said. People are like, oh, if you get, they're just like us. Who do they think they're? Those guys do a lot, Yeah. And look, I've heard the stories about Danny, bad and good, But what I will say is, to be able to go out in public on a day in, day out basis and not get recognized on who you are, Um, I will just explain to you, if you've ever been in a parking lot at Hard Rock Stadium with the Honorable Solo D, and it should take you 5 minutes to get from point A to point B, and it takes you 2 hours to get to the point A and point B, you will understand that. And Solo D is not anybody compared to Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Richard Webb, or anything like that. So, and that's no disrespect to Solo or any of those other guys. It's just I can only imagine being Dan Marino or any of these guys that they're out in public. I just want to be left alone. I just give me, like, I get it. So it was really, I like your story because he brought you in, he hung out with you at the craps. I mean, that's pretty cool, man. I think that's a really cool story.
I will always cherish that. And yeah, it was, you know, you decide not to take a cab ride. You decide not to go on a little excursion, and you know, you don't have that. So it was something that I'll just love it. One of my favorite things ever.
All right. Lamar Bennett just got 2. Lamar, you didn't put anything in there. Lamar, you got to let me know what boxes you want. You sent money for 2 boxes. Do you just want 2 random boxes? Let me know. I need to know, buddy. So Lamar, if you're watching or listening to this, let me know. I need to know.
Steven, I'll tell you what. Now's a good time. I do have a little giveaway or auction item, and of course it's Zach Thomas themed, and I got a card I've been waiting to kind of put up here. It is a Zach Thomas card. It's a recent card. It's one of those classics. It's a numbered card. Ironically, it's numbered out of 99. So that's pretty cool. You got a 54 card numbered to 99. It's number 33 out of 99. A timeless tribute for Zach Thomas. So I don't know. The first $54 donation, the next one gets this bad boy.
Yeah. Next $54, and they get in the running for the autographed jersey later that I'm going to do.
Love it. So
I like it.
That until,
next $54 donation. Like it.
Until it happens.
Help raise money for the channel. You get a card guaranteed. You get a chance to win an autographed jersey. I don't know what jersey it's going to be. It's going to be a current or a former player. I got to go through the box, see what I got.
Wins all over the place.
Wins all over the place. Okay. Let me bring in the first person, man. Alex, man, good morning. How are you?
What's up, guys? I hope you guys are doing good. And
we're doing good, man. I don't like that you're have a New York thing on a day where our boy is in the Hall of Fame. But
all right. Hold on.
And put 54 in there at minimum. I'm not making you change it now. Just
Alex,
go ahead, man. How are you this morning?
Right now to change it.
With that stupid New York teams on.
Oh man. Hey, I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you and your families are staying
Got
blessed
it, Lamar.
as well. And
Good, Alex.
and man, congratulations to Zach Thomas. We've been waiting a long time for him to get in. And he finally gets in, man. And he's finally getting the recognition that he deserved. And he's actually one of the nicest people you can actually meet, as well as Jason Taylor, because I went to the game against the Rams when both Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas had their numbers retired in 2012, and they were doing a little greet at the beginning of the game over there, and he's just like one of us. He's just a normal person, really nice guy, and a great family man, and got to have a little bit of a conversation with him, but yeah, hopefully Richmond Webb hopefully is the next one up, to get in to there. But yeah,
Alex, let me ask you a question, man.
Yeah.
I want to know what is your favorite Zach Thomas memory, or one of your first Zach Thomas memories?
My first Zach Thomas memory was I went to the game in '96, his rookie year, against the Jets, the last game of the season. Jimmy Johnson's first year and Zach Thomas's rookie year. He made a tackle. Man, it's been a long time, man. I was a kid when I saw that, but that was my first Zach Thomas moment. He actually made a sack on the Jets quarterback at the time. I think it was Glenn Foley was the quarterback of the Jets in '96, when they Jimmy Johnson's first year. Jason, is that right? Was it Glenn Foley?
Foley sounds familiar, especially Zach Thomas hitting him.
Yes, Glenn Foley made a stack and he celebrated. But my favorite Zach Thomas memory was the interception against Tennessee when he backflipped into the end zone. He picked off Neil O'Donnell, backflipped into the end zone. That was actually one of my favorite Zach Thomas moments. I have a couple, but that was actually one of my favorite Zach Thomas memories. The other one was when he picked up Rich Gannon in 2002.
Hey, real quick, just want to let people know Bob Young donated $54 on PayPal.
Send me the address today. It goes out to you. Thank you, Bob.
Jason Sarney. At Jason_Sarney.
You know what, Bob? I think I already have his address if I remember correctly. But still send it to me just in case. I think Bob's a repeat. So thank you so much, Bob.
Yeah, so Bob got that Zach Thomas card as well as you'll get into the autograph.
That was as quick as he busted up a running back trying to get through the line of scrimmage, man. Well done on that. That was about a minute.
I like it. Yeah, by the way, these spots are starting to fill up, so I want to fill them up. If you have not gotten a box, get one. Get multiple boxes. If you've already got one, get more. Get them. All right, hey, so Alex, last night, the first 3 years of him trying to get into the Hall of Fame as a fan, I know it was frustrating. So when he finally got in last night, what was your feeling in it, and how did you react?
Well, I wasn't watching it last night. But I get the updates on my phone, and as soon as I saw Zach Thomas got the update, I was like, finally, yes! I was like, thank you, Lord. And I was actually praying. I was actually praying to the great man above. I was like, please let Zach Thomas get in. Please let him get in. And I was ecstatic as a fan, growing up watching him. That was a great feeling to finally see him get in and get the blessing that he deserves.
Definitely, man. All right, man. Anything else before I let you go? I got a lot of people in the back. I want to bring them on.
No, just want to say, Jason, good seeing you again, man. Steven, same as always as well. Hope you guys are staying blessed as well, and your families as well. And you guys have a great rest of your weekend, man, and enjoy. Congratulations again, Zach Thomas.
Hey, love you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Hey, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. I just updated the list. Here we go. That top row's now filled up. We're getting them in. Let's get these boxes filled up. They're $25 per box or block, whatever you want to call them. And remember, every $54 donation, you will get entered to win into the autographed jersey giveaway that we're going to do. And every $100 donation, you will also get into every autographed jersey that we're going to do. You'll get an entry into the autographed jersey that we're going to give away at the end of the day. Okay. All right. Let me bring in my brother from another mother, Finn Big Dougie B. What's up, baby?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing even better now that number 54 is in the Hall of Fame, Zach Thomas. I can't believe it.
You know, Big Dougie B, you've been a fan of the show for a long time. I appreciate your love and your loyalty to the show. It means the world to me. But you've been a fan for the Dolphins for a long time, and I know we've had conversations about different Dolphins and what they've meant to you. Zach Thomas got to play on a very unique squad in the early 2000s. I mean, what did Zach mean to you, and what were those teams like compared to other teams from the past?
Those teams were great. I mean, I always had confidence in the defense. It was just a matter of, can the offense, score the points? Because I felt we had the championship defense. Defense wins championships, but if you don't score points, you don't win championships. So we just needed to get an offense that could do it, and that kind of seemed to be where we were at. The defense would do their part, but the offense just couldn't, or ran out of steam as we got into November and December. I don't know but a story that I remember reading about was when Jimmy Johnson drafted when Jimmy Johnson drafted Zach Thomas. I guess the first preseason game, the Dolphins had signed Jack Del Rio as a free agent that year to anchor our defense. And after he went in for first series or two of the first preseason game, he came out. They put Zach Thomas in. Jimmy Johnson went to Jack Del Rio after the game and said, "Jack, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to let you go. We found the guy we want to start for our middle linebacker position," I guess. And so that's Zach Thomas ever since. And then in that very first game against the New England Patriots in Miami, Zach knocked out, I forget the name of the runner, but it was the running back for New England. He knocked him out. He hit him so hard.
Sean Jefferson?
That might have been it. I don't remember now.
That's one of my favorite. It was Jefferson. Thomas came like on a diagonal and just blew him up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was in those like old school ugly Patriot jerseys with like the weird blue.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. I was, and so I was a fan of Zach Thomas ever since. And shortly after that, I got out of the Navy, and we moved here to Naples, Florida, and we moved here in August of '97, and in February of '98, I was working at the Coastland Center Mall here in Naples, and I was working at one of the little kiosks. I was working for an alarm company that sold home alarms, and this guy came up to me. It was a dead night. There was hardly anyone in the mall. This guy come up to me and started talking to me about the alarms, and we talked a little bit. And I mentioned that I just moved to Naples, so I wasn't really familiar a lot with things here. I moved here from San Diego, and he asked how I liked it. And I told him it was great because I've been a Dolphin fan my whole life. Now I'm actually living in Florida. I can get to see them more often. And he said, "Oh, you like Dolphins?" He goes, "Who's your favorite Dolphin player?" And I said, "Well, of course, Dan Marino. But I think my next favorite player has to be Zach Thomas. I think the guy deserves to be in the Pro Bowl. He hasn't made it in yet." And the guy says, "Well, would you believe me if I told you he's my son?"
No way.
And I said, "Well, you know what? This is Naples. I'm finding out that just about anyone here, there's a lot of celebrities and sports that live here in Naples, and I'm starting to find that out." So I said, I have no reason to doubt you. So about a week later, I'm sitting there in my seat there at the kiosk. Again, it's a dead night. There's not a whole lot going on. I hear some voices from behind me, so I turn around to see who's coming my way. And as soon as I turned around, bam, I saw him. It was Zach Thomas and his dad. And he comes out, he saw me, and he goes, "Oh, I wanted you to meet this guy." And he comes up to me, and he goes, "Hi, I told you I was Zach Thomas's dad." "Well, he's my son." And I go,
"That's cool, man. That is a great story."
He was so nice, and he gave me an autograph. And the only thing I regret was my wife and my kids weren't with me at the time. It was just as soon as after we done talking and they left, I called my wife immediately. "You wouldn't believe who I just met. Oh my God, I can't believe it." I had never met anyone with the Miami Dolphins in my life to that point, and
you'll never forget that either.
Best memories. And so, of course, I had my Zach Thomas jersey, which I just took off because I just got home from doing laundry and I was getting pretty warm, so I took it off. But
that is such a great. That's sort of why I wanted to have the show today and bring out people to tell their Zach Thomas stories if they had one or their memories of them. And it's so cool. It's so funny. You could think about games. I remember. I want to say it was a game against the Lions or the Bears, and I felt like every single play the announcer was Zach Thomas with the tackle, Zach Thomas with the assisted tackle, Zach Thomas with the tackle, Zach Thomas with the tackle. And I remember my mom saying, "They sure do say that Zach Thomas name a lot." And I was like, "Because he's the best, Mom. Are you kidding me? That guy's amazing." And do
you guys remember, and Steven and Dougie, great story, man. That's amazing. Really, really well told and good stuff. When DirecTV first came out, they would have the commercials, and there was like a very serious commercial at a bar with a ton of Jet fans.
And then
all of a sudden,
and the Dolphins.
And it was a Zach Thomas.
I remember it.
It
was one of my favorite commercials.
Literally watching that on DirecTV with New Yorkers, and everyone just looked at me. And I'm wearing a Zach Thomas shirt.
Are you watching a Dolphins Jets game?
I'm watching a Dolphin game. I think it was a Dolphin Bills game. And I'm like, literally, that is me. That is me, the persona, in a Zach Thomas jersey, screaming with a bunch of New Yorkers. But that was my life, is the out-of-town Dolphin fan. Just,
There's another really good one of the snow in Buffalo. And you see a Buffalo Bills gnome and a Buffalo Bills flag, and you see all these houses in Buffalo Bills. and then you see a guy shoveling and he's wearing Dolphin stuff, and he's got the Dolphins flag and stuff, and DirecTV Sunday ticket package. I don't know. They definitely catered to Dolphins fans now that I think about it, because both those were, or the person who ran that was a big Dolphins fan and was trolling Jets and Bills fans, which is great. Period.
Another great memory is one that many people, I guess, have remembered as well. It was the start of the season. It was a Monday night football game, I believe. The Dolphins were at Tennessee. And at that point, Tennessee had never lost in their home stadium. It had been like 2 or 3 years. They had never lost in their home stadium. And they were playing the Dolphins that night for their home opener, I believe it was. And that's the game where Zach Thomas intercepted the pass, ran it into the end zone, did the flip as he went into the end zone. That was the first time any team had beaten the Tennessee Titans in their home stadium, because we went on to win that game thanks to Zach. So, that's one of my favorite memories as well of Zach. So,
can you think of a player over the last 10, 15 years that was more deserving of the Hall of Fame besides maybe Richmond? And again, we're biased. We get it. Besides maybe Richmond, that Zach deserved to be in there, because the numbers were there. And it just amazed me that he was never a first round pick. And it pissed me off, really, or first ballot pick. And I look at Darrelle Revis and Joe Thomas last night, and I'm like, why wasn't Zach Thomas a first ballot pick? Because the numbers were clearly there. And so what do you think about that, Big Dougie B?
When he didn't get in the first time, I was just beside myself, because I couldn't figure out what they're not seeing. Why wasn't he in? Why, he should have been there first ballot. I mean, everyone could make the case for him, his stats and everything. And then when Urlacher went in, it was like, well, everyone pointed out Zach's stats were equal or better. So why is Urlacher in but not Zach? And I loved how that Urlacher came out and spoke in Zach's defense.
On Pat McAfee's show, I remember it clear as day. Yep. There's no reason that Zach Thomas shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. It's a travesty that he's not. And I was like, yes, I love that, because that's the only way certain players are ever going to get nods. I love Richmond, and I think Richmond should be in. But if Richmond's going to get in, we need to get other players to account for him that are currently in the Hall of Fame, because Richmond's numbers are just as good.
Bruce Smith is the guy to get, because Bruce Smith will tell you that. I mean, look, Bruce Smith was one of the best pass rushers ever, so he rarely had a bad game. So if he did well against the Dolphins, that was really below his standard. He dominated the Jets. He dominated the Patriots. He dominated the Colts. Remember, the Colts were in our division. And Dougie, you could attest. But when he played against Richmond Webb, he was cut in half. Meaning that if he averaged a sack, 1.2 sacks a game against the AFCs, he averaged 0.4 sacks against Richmond Webb.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the guy to get.
I don't know if I heard this or if I read this or if I'm just making it up in my head. I don't know. But I could have sworn that Bruce Smith said that the guy that gave him the most trouble was Richmond Webb.
100%.
He did. He said that clear as day.
100%.
And that's what we need. Pip Bob says you're right. It was a Monday night against the Titans, and the next day was 9/11.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Wow.
I remember. Yeah,
that's right. It was a Tuesday morning. I remember that exactly right.
I thought that Monday night game was a Jets game, though. Maybe I was wrong. I thought it was a Jets game.
No, there were Monday night games that were Jets games.
Lots of those.
The one I want to forget the most is in 2000, so we'll forget about that one. But
that was the worst sports night of my life.
Real quick, they went a moments. I guess Justin Jefferson's catch last night. Justin Jefferson, meanwhile, got hardware twice last night.
Yeah,
only person to get twice last night.
Yeah.
And so my wife goes, did the Miami Miracle win? And I think the year that they did it, the Miami Miracle did win that year.
Yeah.
She's like, now that I think about it, you were in Baltimore and you were at the Miami Miracle. She's like, which game was better? And I said, they're both very unique within their own. The moment of the Miami Miracle is unique, and the buildup of the comeback in Baltimore was just they're different. They're just so different, and they both were great. But if you're asking me, like, if I had to go to one particular moment, I have to go the Miami Miracle, that just that 7 seconds he didn't have the angle was to me was great. But I don't know why it just made me think of that with that last night. Anything else before we let you go, Big Dougie B?
I just want to say that last night watching it, and they were naming the guys who got in, and they hadn't said Zach Thomas's name, and they got down to like the 4th guy, then the 5th guy, and I'm thinking they usually don't put in more 5 or 6 people each year.
I know.
And they said Joe Klecko. I about lost it.
I was getting pissed.
Well, he got in as like the senior class,
Yeah, and
they tricked you with that.
I'm thinking Joe Klecko's going to get in, and Zach Thomas isn't. Oh my God!
That's what I was saying. I was like, how do they let this guy in but not Zach Thomas? I was like,
and then
are they serious?
Yeah. Then I saw Jimmy Johnson, and immediately I started pumping the air. I said, Zach's in. I clapped my hands. My wife was on a video call with her family. Her cousin had just passed away, and they were doing the rosary thing on everything. And she looked over at me, like, give me a stern look, like, quiet. And I just started pumping the air and everything. And then the tears started coming out of my eyes. My eyes got all misty and everything. I was so happy. I couldn't believe it. He's in. And it's just like, finally it happened. I can rest easy, And so that's.
Hey, Big Dougie B, you got yourself a box up here, man. I appreciate you getting a box. You got number 72, man. Yep. Number 72. So, hey, man, I appreciate you getting into the box. I hope that you win. I hope everybody I like gets a chance to obviously win, but I'm glad that you're in there. Thank you for supporting the show, brother. Any final words before I let you go?
Just you guys have a great day and a good weekend. And Dolph Freaky is the greatest. I wish she had won, but I love her anyway. I'm blessed to live in the same city she lives in, so I've gotten to meet her several times, and she's fantastic. So,
hey, I might be coming down for the for the beach bash this year, and if I come down,
I'm hoping to make it this year. Things have changed. My disability got approved, so now I actually have some money, so I can actually do some things now and maybe get the car fixed.
All right. Well, Big Dougie B, I hope that I get a chance to see you, brother. Thank you for coming on this morning. And that awesome story that you gave us about Zach Thomas and his dad was absolutely amazing. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Well, you guys take care. Look forward to meeting you in the future here. So
sounds good, brother. Be good. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. This is what it's about, right? Like the podcast network and the getting the fans to come on and hear their stories. What else were you going to hear that kind of a story, right? Like that's pretty cool.
That you're right. That's what it's about. It's the memories. It's beyond football sometimes. It's beyond what's inside the sidelines,
Hey, I know I had some other people in the back that dropped off. Get back on here. I'm going to bring you on. Teapot 954. What is up, my guy?
What's going on? You guys can hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, man. How are you?
Doing great. I don't got a lot of time. I'm at work right now. I just wanted to share a story. So I'm 30. So about 20 years ago, I played co-ed soccer in Margate, Florida. And my dad's assistant coach, some rich lawyer dude. So at the end of the year, they do the team parties and all that nonsense. So we're at this guy's house, and he leaves. About 20 minutes later, comes back. He's like, "Oh, I want to introduce you guys to my neighbor." And he brings over Zach Thomas, and he comes in the back, and we got all these blow up, like 30, 40 foot blow up things that you run through and you hit the dummies. And he was running through that with us, throwing the ball with us and stuff. It was pretty awesome.
That is cool, man. See, and it's little stories like that. Now, did you get a chance to interact with them or talk with them at all?
Well, a little bit. I was like I said, I was like 10. So I knew who he was. I watched him play, told him I was a huge fan.
Were you a Dolphins fan at the time? Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah. Cool, my dad's diehard. So that's how I didn't become a fan because of the players. I became a fan because of the time I spent with my dad, because he was in the Army. Whenever he was home, we spent our most time watching Dolphins games in Colorado.
That's what, dude, like that's what I tell. So for those, my story, I love my dad. Good man. We don't always see eye to eye on everything in the world or anything like that. But the one thing I do remember was watching baseball games with him and watching Dolphins games with him. And it's so cool how some people say the time I got to spend with my father or the time I got to spend with my parent as a Dolphins fan is something unique and special and cherished. So that's a really cool story, man. I like to hear that, man. Especially you were living in the Mile High as a Dolphins fan. How was that growing up as a Dolphins fan over there with John Elway lovers?
Well, I was in Colorado Springs on the military base, Fort Carson, so I didn't really get out that much. I was real small.
Was there any other Dolphin fans, or were you it?
We were pretty much it.
And you've just been a Dolphins fan this whole time, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. He took me to my first game when I was probably 6, I think.
Was it in Denver or was it in Miami?
No, it was in Miami. We're from South Florida. He grew up in Davie.
All right, so would you have seen Zach Thomas when you were that young? Like, was it? I guess he was.
I believe so. That was probably 2000. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
or
it was a cool game too. I don't know if you guys know, but they gave out these Dan Marino gold commemorative coins to everybody in the stadium that day. So we all got like these gold coins. Yeah.
Dude, are you on Twitter?
Yeah.
Take a picture of it and send it to me on Twitter, man. I'd love to see it, bro.
I gotta try to find it, but yeah, if I find it, I'll definitely send it to you. My dad's got a whole storage unit full of cards, jerseys, helmets, all Dan Marino and Pete Rose, but mostly Dan Marino.
Hey man, that's awesome, man. That's what it's all about. Hey man, anything else before I let you go?
No, sir. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your show every morning.
Hey, man, I appreciate you listening, man. Tell your friends about us or anybody you know, man. The only way we can grow is with your help. So I appreciate it, brother.
I'm out here in Tampa now. There's not many Dolphin fans I encounter out here, but everyone I do, I tell them to check you out.
I appreciate it, man. You're the man, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. You too.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Remind you guys, hit the like button. Make sure you all do that. I want to remind you guys, get your boxes. I just got Finn's in the house. He got box number 26. So box number 26 is now there. So make sure you guys I want to fill this thing up for the show today, guys. Get up in here. Jason, you got another card something we can give away to the folks. Try to fill up this box, man.
Let me look around.
All right, look around. I'll bring on the next person. I'm going to bring on Caslin. Good morning, Caslin. What's up, man?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you this morning?
Hey,
man, I'm here, brother. I'm excited, man. I feel like all is right with the world that Zach Thomas made the Hall of Fame, man.
It's about time. He should have been first ballot, but not everybody gets in the first time.
It's tough. There's about 300 and I think there's like 400 Hall of Famers now with this class. Only 90 of them are first ballot after this too.
Which is why I was very surprised Revis was. And I thought Revis was just shut down. Don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to hate. First ballot and Zach Thomas isn't. I think Zach Thomas had a better career than Revis. Personal opinion, biased opinion, but that's what I think. And if Joe Thomas, by the way, can get in, I truly believe Richmond Webb should be in. And that's just, again, look, we're Dolphins fans. We definitely are biased towards that thing. But last night, man, tell me about last night. And just, did you watch it? And what was your feeling like when you found out?
I loved it because he was one. My story with him is when we were drafting him, I was very skeptical. I didn't believe that he was going to be as good as he was, and but I had to believe in Jimmy Johnson and be able to, pick the players that he needed to pick. So I'm very, very rarely wrong on a player, and I was wrong on him. I can tell you that. I didn't think he was going to be halfway as good as he was. And when we drafted him, I was skeptical. And then that first game against the Patriots, and like they just described, when he cleaned his clock, I was all on board. That's all it took me. He was so small, so tiny, and everybody. That was the reason why he fell so far in the draft, because he was supposed to go. They were saying early projections, second round, third round, but that's the reason why he fell so far, because it just his size, and from the rest of his career, that's all. The heat-seeking missile did this, and everywhere he was just a ball hawk. Everywhere the ball was, Zach Thomas was one step or a half a step behind. He just was everywhere. And last night when I saw that he got it, when I saw the whole door knock ceremony, it was hard not to be emotional with that, because the guy deserved it, and he's one of my top 5 Dolphins of all time.
Supposedly in the press, real quick. Supposedly in the press conference he had, that Jimmy Johnson was going to present him in Canton. By the way,
I think that's what's happening. The knock is going to be from the people who are presenting, because it's not going to be Baker anymore since he's retired.
He's just him alone. Like, when I look at a middle linebacker and I look at to see what I would love for them to be more players like him. And it just isn't.
They don't make them like that no more, Caslin, and that's real. And again, for somebody his size, being in the NFL that he played in too. Let me just throw that out there. He played. It wasn't no flag football league that Zach Thomas played in. He played in a league where you hit, and when somebody comes across the middle, you're pancaking them. And so to be his size and to lay out some of the hits that he dished, man, it was so. I mean, you had to fall in love with the guy to, scrappy, right?
Some of my favorite plays too. I mean, the hits were great, but some of my favorite plays was how he would just kind of get he would disguise himself, drop back, and then make a pick that a safety should be able to make. He was just everywhere. Ball hawk, heat-seeking missile. He was the perfect middle linebacker. I mean, there's literally 3 middle linebackers that could be called a perfect middle linebacker, I believe, in the era that we watched. And it's Ray Lewis, Zach Thomas, and Brian Urlacher. I mean, they're perfect.
There are so many things that go on in a game on a day in, day out basis, right? And so as Dolphin fans, what's frustrating now with our team being as the middle linebacker position, we're just frustrated with, and we have been for a very long time. It's the same thing with the quarterback, right? Living in the cast, living in the shadow of Dan Marino is kind of the same thing from a middle linebacker standpoint with the Miami Dolphins. You're living in the shadow of Zach Thomas. And if you're not built up to, I don't think we all expect, I think it is unfair to say, hey, you got to be as good as Zach. We're not saying that. But the fact of the matter is we're always going to compare middle linebackers to Zach Thomas that play for our team. And we've never had anybody remotely probably live up to that expectation, even minutely close. Same thing with the quarterback situation on offense, obviously. So, it's interesting how Dolphin fans hold Zach Thomas in such a high regard for the history of our franchise, right? And we've had a lot of great defenses over the years, the no-name defense. We've had great linebackers over the years, but Zach Thomas is just, even the greats. Mike Ditka has been on record saying that Zach Thomas is one of the best to ever play. Ray Lewis, same thing.
I'll tell you what blew my mind a couple of years ago. Was watching Kevin Mawai getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, Jet Titan. And Kevin Mawai took the time in his induction speech to say that his greatest nemesis in his career, Zach Thomas, center versus middle linebacker, should be in the Hall of Fame. So we have an individual getting inducted in his own moment, taking the time to plead the case for his biggest rival. That blew my mind as a Jet hater, and looking at a Jet compliment a Miami Dolphin saying this guy needs to be in the Hall.
Hey, real quick, I just want to throw this up on the screen. This is from Zach Thomas, little 20-second clip last night.
This is awesome.
Hey, Dolphin fans, I made it. check this out. Hey, so you don't have to vent no more. I'll be not making the Hall of Fame, but I'm very proud to represent you guys, represent my teammates in Canton this August. So get ready. Let's go.
I love it, man. I love that. I love that. I love it. It makes my heart so warm, and I just feel it's awesome. It's just awesome to hear. And the fact that he said we don't have to vet no more.
It's just like, because you know what? It's like, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I play. They know whether it's good or bad, players, post, present, future, whatever. They know what we say collectively, a lot of times individually. They Google, they search, you know. He's appreciative of how much we love what he did for this team and for us as fans. So it's really an amazing full circle where we're celebrating his accomplishments and he's thanking fans for wanting it so bad for him. It's just an unbelievable moment. It brings, honestly, the truth, for the last 15 hours, I felt like I was back in, 1996, 1997 as a teenager, about to go deliver some pizzas.
Yeah, the best linebacker we've had since him was Carlos Dansby, and he really didn't do nothing for us. That's such a hard position to fill and find somebody that good,
Unfortunately, we've been looking. Yeah, it's like, you're right. We've been looking for the next Dan, the next JT, the next Zach, the next Madison Surtain combo. But there's not going to be the next of these guys,
Well, not just Madison and Surtain, Vontae Davis and Surtain. That was the second coming of it, But yeah, it's just, and before Zach, for me, it was Brian Cox.
Yeah.
So it's, and he's another one. He's another one on my top five of all time.
Let me just say, as fans, we will always compare current players to past players that were held in high regard. And the funny part about that is that we can probably, if we're honest with ourselves, during certain players' tenures here, look, I think the icing on the cake for me is Ricky, right? Ricky Williams was hated during his tenure here towards the end, and now is hands down top 3 most beloved Miami Dolphin of all time. I think he's up there as one of the most beloved players to ever play for our team.
Well, that's because
I get the off the field, the weed and everything.
Yeah.
But put that in perspective with other players, right? Look, there are players that played for our team that when they were here, fans talk trash about him. But 10 years later, they're like, no, he was great. He's not as good as this person. And if you're honest with yourself, 10 years earlier, you were critiquing that guy as hard as you could, or you were saying that person wasn't as good as whoever. And that's, I don't know if that's an issue I have with fans, but I want fans to be honest with themselves and admit to that. What do you think about that, Jason? Do you think there's truth in that statement?
That we could villainize or not love a player and then in the future just understand their greatness or understand the
100%, or not appreciate them while they're here, giving their quote unquote flowers during their playing time. Zach Thomas, for me, he went off to Dallas and he went off to Kansas City and he did the 1-day contract to retire as a Dolphin, which was whatever, but I don't think we appreciated him at the end of his career.
It's like, it is kind of one of those, you don't know what you got till it's gone kind of situations, Zach was an anchor, meaning that, like, no matter what the other 10 people were doing on the field, he was going to do his job and he was going to disseminate the information to the other people. Like, he was held accountable, held other people accountable. And, I think that he was appreciated. You know what? I just don't think on a national standpoint, outside of the Dolphins community, that he was appreciated.
No, he wasn't.
And call it the undersized, whatever, call it, he played in a perfect. So if you watch the man play, he played in he played like he was a video game. Like, literally, he was almost like you controlled the video game player. And if you wanted to press dive and do a hit stick and have a torpedo hit, he's going to hit it. If you wanted to have him, jump up over a fullback and just try to get. I saw him leap over a fullback and hit a running back. I think it might have been Travis Henry or something. It was, I don't know, it was like 2002 or 3. He leaped over a fullback and hit a running back behind the line of scrimmage, caused a fumble. I don't know that we recovered it, but it was just like, huh? It was like a Matrix moment. Like, wait a minute, hold on. He was just unbelievable. Oh, what a joy to watch. Watching that old dirt, disgusting field, that baseball field, just watching him make a tackle and then just watching him get
old
up.
Pro Player Stadium.
Oh,
yeah.
With the Marlins field on it. I remember Zach Thomas so many years being covered in dirt making tackles. You know? 100%. All right, Caslin, anything else before I let you go? I want to bring in other people to be able to talk about their favorite Zach Thomas moments or what they felt from last night.
No, I think his is the second fastest jersey I've ever bought in my life. As a Dolphins fan, Marino was always growing up. That's who it was. It was Marino. I had Marino, Clayton, and Duffy jersey. Duper, and then I bought a OJ McDuffie later on as well. But he was the second fastest jersey I've ever bought in my life. It just, again, you always think of the great Dolphins, and he's always on that list, and he'll always be on that list.
100%. All right, Caslin, I love you, brother. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No problem. Later, guys.
All right, man.
Later, Cass. Thanks so much, man.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. If you look in the chat, you'll see a link to StreamYard. That's how you get on. I want you to come on, talk about your favorite Zach Thomas or how you felt. This is a show for the fans, by the fans. This is your moment to come on and talk about what Zach Thomas meant to you. It's Spread Kindness Friday. It's absolutely awesome. We are also doing for this Sunday for the Super Bowl boxes. We got the whole first row cleared out. I think we're less than 50 now on in here, Jason. So we're getting close, man. We are getting close. Did you pick up anything that we could try to entice more people to purchase boxes?
We got 2 more cards that'll be in one lot. And they're a little off base here in terms of not doing Zach Thomas, doing some receivers. Got a nice little patch jersey, Tyreek Hill.
Ooh.
And a little sparkle action Jalen Waddle rookie card.
So the Jalen Waddle and Cheetah cards, Dolphins cards.
Yes.
A lot. All right. Next person to donate at least $100 to get at least 4 boxes or more, they'll get those cards for free. Well, you'll get those cards for paying for them, not necessarily for donating to the channel. The next person to donate $100, you'll get 4. Obviously, a minimum. If you donate more than 100, you'll get more than. It's $25 per block.
Kevin, send me your address. What cards were they?
Yep, Kevin, we'll get to you. If we haven't got to
files of stuff. Get us the address.
Hey, this is the show. Who was the person? We're doing this better now. We have a better system than what we had a couple of months ago. So, Kevin, reach out to @Jason_Sarney.
I'm still waiting for whoever won these to claim them. These are like, I don't know if these are one of these cards, but get me the addresses, folks.
All right. All right. So, we'll get you that. And you also get a chance to win an autographed jersey that I'm going to do after the show. I'm going to come back on live and do an autographed jersey giveaway later on this afternoon for people that do it. Kevin, I have Kevin's address.
Perfect.
Address.
I just tell me the card and then boom.
Yep, he did. He sent it to me last week. It's on me.
We're on it, Kevin. We got you.
All right. So get your Super Bowl boxes. Okay. All right. Let me bring in Crazy Doll Fan. What's up, Crazy Doll Fan?
What's up, Stephen D? Jason,
what's up, man? How are you?
You know what this is, right?
No,
Mr. Polk.
Mr. Polk is in the building. What's up, Mr. Polk?
Man, I'm gonna tell you something. Zach Thomas was long overdue for the Hall of Fame. As soon as they even thought about his name, he should have been in there. This guy supposed to be undersized, at the time from Texas Tech that wasn't at that time a well-known school producing players. This man, as soon as he got on the field, he gave you 110%, no lacking. And he did that from the beginning of his career, pretty much always to the end of his career. I think, if I'm not mistaken, because I mentioned this on another podcast, that concussions sort of shortened his career, but that's because this man gave his body for the Miami Dolphins, man. If you want to go, really, if you go to Webster Dictionary and look up inside linebacker, it should say Zach Thomas. It should say Zach Thomas, man. I mean, I watched him from beginning to the end. It's not many players that are like that. I mean, this man motor is always running on high, always running on high. And I mean, he just gave his body to the Miami Dolphins. So I'm not gonna lie, as a grown man, I was teary-eyed when he was selected, and I'm not ashamed to say it because he deserved it. He really deserved it, man.
He 100% deserves it. And Mr. Polk, you've been a fan for the Dolphins for a very, very, very long time. I didn't mean to say very, very.
No, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm proud of that.
I was mad at myself for saying it that many times. Well, hold up now. Hold up. I've only been hold up. Very, very, very. Look, you've been a fan for a long time. You've watched players come and go. You've watched players. You've observed greatness from this team over the years. Zach Thomas, where does he rank to you? And just you personally, not your face. I just want to know what Zach, because Zach meant a lot to a lot of people. What did he mean to you?
Greatness on the field, off the field, but it's just that, if you really watched them, and I wouldn't even advise the kids of today to go back and look at the film on Zach Thomas. If you want to be great in life, period, this man came to work. He came to work, and I mean not when it just one thing I want to bring up also too. The thing I liked about Zach Thomas too is that he would be the first one in the building to come in and look at films and the last one to leave.
100%.
Okay.
There's a great story that was told on the Fish Tank that he would watch so much film and eat Cheetos while doing it that there was permanent Cheeto dust on the clicker and the light. I mean, literally. Imagine how many Cheetos, as well as how many hours of film that combination has to happen for there to be a Zach Thomas permanent Cheeto stain. I just love it. Could be embellished a little bit, but
No, but it paid off because the man, with, like I said, dedication.
Yep.
He gave it. Like I said on the other podcast, he actually gave his body to the Miami Dolphins every time he was on the field. And there was times where, if I'm not mistaken, he was playing hurt, and you wouldn't. And it's really hard to tell that he was unless somebody mentioned that. Oh, Zach is playing hurt today. You wouldn't know it because I had a nickname from when he first caught my eye. I called him the human typewriter because he would go side to side, back and forth. That's how he moved. He moved. And he, like I said, man, his motor is always running, never stop. He wasn't the type of person to say, well, you know what, I'm a slack off today. And his motor was always running. And that's it's just so many words I can use to describe him. But man, all I can say is he just was an incredible. He is an incredible guy, and he still look like he can play football today.
Yeah, you don't want to go up against Zach Thomas in any kind of competition because he'll probably.
Oh no, he'll take your head off.
He'll take you head on. I mean, dude was perfect.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Anything else before we let you go, Mr. Pope?
No, thanks to Stephen D for letting me be on here. Also Jason. But man, kudos to Zach Thomas, man. Long deserved this. And anybody
Overdue.
who's out there wants to consider playing football and being a inside linebacker or a player, period. Go look at this guy's motor, man. This guy is an excellent example of an NFL football player, period. And Stephen D, thanks for having me on the show. Jason, also, y'all, thank you guys, man. One love to you, but thanks for having me on the show.
Anytime, man. We love having you on. You're a very important part of the fan base here, and I love having you on a weekly basis, man. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot, fellas. Y'all have a good day.
All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. We just got another $25 donation for number 48. It's not updated in the box here, but it is there. So 48 is gone. Guys, get your boxes. Want to make sure that we get that. Big deal. Again, if somebody donates $100 or more, which is at least 4 boxes, what are they going to win, Jason? Where are those cards?
We got a Jalen Waddle Sparkle rookie card.
Yep.
Got one of those inserts, or not inserts, parallel. And a Tyreek Hill is a new set. Little patch there.
And we'll also enter you in to win an autographed jersey giveaway that we're going to do this afternoon. So that's a big deal too. So make sure y'all get it. Let's go. All right, Jason, you only got about 5-10 more minutes, right? And then you're out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Miami Sports Music. If you want to get in, we want to hear from you. What is your favorite Zach Thomas? If you want to say it in the chat, or you want to, get in with the chat, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your Zach Thomas feelings, man. How do you felt that he made the Hall of Fame? We don't have anybody in the back room at the moment. I had like 2 other people up there, and then they dropped. I know it's, I bring up one person at a time. I want to get a chance for everybody to say what they want to say. But it's interesting, man. JD the Great One says, yeah, Zach Thomas is in the Hall of Fame. Yes, he is, JD the Great One. 100%. I absolutely enjoyed last night. Oh, actually, I can't say I did enjoy it up until he got announced, because leading up to it, and there was 6 or 7 people. Let me ask you, man. Let me just get into the Hall of Fame real quick. What is the difference between the Hall of Very Good and the Hall of Fame? Like, what makes a player? Is it numbers? Okay. Is it how they conduct? Like, why is Zach Thomas Hall of Fame worthy compared to other people?
I love that question, and I answer it kind of this way. It's compared to your peers in your era. All right? So sometimes that could leave different positions, like a wide receiver, like running backs, a little bit on the outs, because there might be more of them, that are really good. How many receivers are very good that aren't in the Hall of Fame yet, But for Zach Thomas, when you look at who are his peers from his 12-year career in that lifespan and those seasons, who are his comparables? And if you're looking at 3 other Hall of Famers or 2 other Hall of Famers, that's who you belong with them. He was with Ray Lewis and with Brian Urlacher in the importance of the position from 1996 to 2007, whenever he retired. So when you really look at the elite of the position in his career, he belongs. And that's how I really try to look at it. So when I look at quarterbacks, I mean, you can't just look at statistics and say Phillip Rivers or Matt Ryan are Hall of Famers because they got gaudy stats. Are they among the class and the elite of their peers? No. And that's why you could have a great career, you could be a phenomenal player, you could be a Hall of Famer, or you could be a first ballot Hall of Famer. There are tiers to this thing.
There are levels to this, Jason.
There's onions.
There's levels to this. Ogres are like layers. They stink.
The more you cut, the more it stinks.
Such a good line.
I love it. Good stanza.
Oh my God. All right, Miami Sports Music, clock blockers, flip floppers, cat blockers, whatever you want to call it. one of the things that we've discussed briefly is other players. We talked a little bit about Brian Urlacher, obviously promoting that on media. We've talked about Kevin Mawai saying it is in his Hall of Fame speech. Do you think that played a part into Zach getting into the Hall of Fame? And do you think him playing for some bad football teams with the Miami Dolphins also played a part in the reason why he wasn't maybe a first ballot Hall of Famer?
You look at a guy like a Joe Thomas, and then you got to throw out the bad teams out the window. So
that's what I said. That's what I thought last night.
When you're looking at a guy who, outside of an injured year where he missed like 5 games or whatever it was, he had 125 tackles plus in every one of his years, essentially. You know, he was the definition of consistency. It had to have just been a matter of time for him to get in. But a lot of things go into it beyond the player. And there are campaigns for each of these players, and the semifinalists, the finalists. There's representatives, journalists that campaign and write and fight for him. And Armando Salguero is the guy that did it for Zach, and amongst some other people.
They were making jokes on social media last night that Armando should have been the one to, tell him he was getting into the Hall of Fame.
Armando has done tireless work. You can say what you want about other aspects of, the individual, but throw an assisted tackle up for Armando Salguero and, for helping him get in. I mean, literally. I mean, Zach deserves it, of course, but, you also have the process where these guys and gals are representing these players in front of the committees. There's a lot of work that goes on, so like Zach would probably say, it's team effort. And he did his part, and the other people involved did theirs as well.
The other thing that is interesting too, and I'm going through Twitter as we speak. Somebody just wrote, he said, "I'm a grown-ass man in tears. I'm a complete psychopath on this app, but in all seriousness, this man was my hero playing Pee-wee football. I wanted to be Zach Thomas. This man brought me some of my best memories as a Miami Dolphins fan. I'm proud AF. Y'all fins up." I think a lot of people were sharing that sentiment last night. It's so funny that somebody else's accomplishments and, things that he did over his career that we can look at as fans and say, no, that was our guy. That was our guy who did that. And we can kind of, piggyback on his career as fans and say, no, what do you expect Canton to be like in July? Or I guess August. What do you think Canton will be like?
I'll tell you what, not to be cheesy here. It's like my favorite movie of all time is Field of Dreams. The
end. Do you want to have a catch? I don't care. To this day, still gets me crying at the end.
But there's a part in that when James Earl Jones is giving his speech where it's almost like, you can dip yourselves in magic waters and just transport yourself back to whatever time where time was good or your memories. That's what the Hall of Fame is. That's why it's thousands of dollars to go. That's why it's such an honor, because you are able to transport yourself to remembering some of the greatest memories of your life, whether it's watching football with friends, your family, whether it's, just watching a hero, emulating a guy like a Zach Thomas. And that's why these speeches mean so much. And that's why these events mean so much for these weekends. And it's surreal. It transcends the sport. It makes you feel good, and in this day and age, for something like this to make grown men cry, grown adults cry, and now all of a sudden people are scrambling to look at flights and hotels and tickets because you want to be a part of it. It's special.
I'm gonna get flagged for this on YouTube, but I don't care because I feel like it's fitting. And I agree with you because it is one of my favorite movies as well. That I just want to play the speech.
People will come, Ray.
That they'll come to Canton.
They'll come to Iowa.
They'll come to
I
Canton.
can't even fathom. They'll turn up your driveway, not knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll arrive at your...
The stupid internet. It got me, Jason.
That was Shoeless Joe coming down saying, not happening, Steve-O.
Only for the past.
There you go.
Of course, we won't mind if you look around. You'll say, it's only $20 per person. They'll pass money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have and peace they like.
Ray, just sign the papers.
And they'll walk out to the bleachers, sit in shirt sleeves on a perfect afternoon. They'll find they have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines.
I'm just picturing Canton.
Of their sat when they were children.
54 jerseys.
Cheer their heroes. And they'll watch the game. It'll be as if they'd dipped themselves in magic waters. The memories will be so thick, they'll have to brush them away from their faces.
Ray, when the bank opens in the morning, they'll foreclose.
People will come, Ray.
They'll most definitely
Broke,
come.
Ray. You sell now or you lose everything.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
It's been football.
America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers.
Football.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased
No, it's
again.
baseball. I love baseball, y'all. I'm just saying.
But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh,
People will come,
Ray.
They'll most definitely come.
People will most definitely come.
All right, man. Come on. That's the speech. It's funny because that's actually not even my favorite speech in that movie. It's by Moonlight Graham, who's played by what is his name? Burt Lancaster. And he's like, I better get home before she'll be thinking I got a girl.
I think I got a girlfriend.
It's that's the best one. Burt Lancaster is absolutely amazing.
Fantastic.
Great
movie.
We got a couple people in the back. I know you got to go. Do you want to go now? Do you want to wait?
We got a couple minutes.
Okay. All right. Let me bring in the OG, triple OG of the show. The first person to ever like the show. The first person to ever be a member of the show. The first person to just support this channel undyingly, I guess is a good way to put it. My man, my brother, he makes some really good cakes and cupcakes too. Mr. Chef Shoes in the building. Chef Shoe, what's up, baby?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Y'all can hear me?
No, we can hear you loud and clear, man. How are you?
I'm blessed, just like everyone here.
Dude, what do you think, man? Zach Thomas, Hall of Fame, man.
Oh gosh, dude, it's been a long time since. Oh, geez, since he played, we've been like fans been waiting for a long time for him to finally get in. It's like we keep seeing him being the felons, but then he never gets in, and it's like to see that last night for him to finally get in, I was like happy. It was just happy, a blessing to see him finally get in. It's like I've been watching him since he even got in the league, and then to see him finally get there is awesome. And my Zach Thomas moment, I'll never forget this. I remember, I forgot what year it was. I think it was somewhere in the 2000s, like mid 2000s, something like that. And I remember going to a Rams Dolphin game, and him and Jason, and I never knew that was going to happen. Him and Jason Taylor really were getting honored in the Dolphins Ring of Honor. And I was there. I was like, wait, what? I was like, I ain't even know nothing about this. And me and my friend was there. And it was to me, that was a good moment because I never got to see him play in person. But to actually see him get his name up there in the Ring of Honor, it's beautiful. And then now when I go to the game again, you have a Hall of Fame logo right next to his name, which is going to be awesome.
That's going to be cool. Yeah.
So and then the crazy part is I sit right in front of it. Where my seat's at, I sit right in front of it, so I can actually see it right when I look straight ahead. And that was just my moment. I got to see him. We won that game. I think Fitz was a backup quarterback at that game. I forgot who the Rams starting quarterback was that year, but that was my Zach Thomas moment. Yeah, yes, that's him. That's
Mark
him.
Bolger. Wow, you brought a name up from the past, cuz.
That was years ago, and I never forget that game. And we came in, we won it, and just to leave that stadium just feeling good, it felt great, and I enjoyed it. And that's my Zach Thomas moment. But I remember This dude used to lay hits on people. Hits. And then I
Talk
love when he
about the
gets
hit stick.
interceptions.
Remember the hit stick in Madden? It was
Yes.
because of Zach Thomas, bro. I don't care what nobody says.
Nobody can, especially if he get an interception. I'm like, oh, he's going to score. I said, please do the flip, and he he did a flip, and it was just a great moment of me growing up to see him play, and I still to this day feel like that's from my childhood. That round when he was playing, when he had Zach Thomas, you had Brock Marion, Sammy Knight, you had Patrick Surtain,
Sammy Knight, that's the other one, bro.
Sammy Knight,
loves Sammy Knight, bro.
Sam, like that secondary. That was, to me, was like a defense. Him, Tim Bowens, Randy Stark. Like I remember a lot of these, Marlon Greenwood. Like a lot of these guys, I remember. Yep, I remember a lot of these because I'm a defensive guy. I remember a lot of those guys on that defense. It was crazy, and I'm like to this day, I still feel like that's one of our best defenses since that time. And it's like a lot of us fans do want to see that moment happen again. You never know. History may repeat itself. I feel like right now this team is there, and I feel like we can actually do something going into 2023 season. If and the key to me, and I always said it, I said it yesterday, the offensive line is going to be the key to the seasons. If that could get situated, we'll be fine. If Tua could stop getting hurt and start having concussions, we'll be we can do a whole lot getting deep where the team deserves to be. And if they could just do what needs to be done, we could get there. Now that Fangio is here, because I did want him last year to be our DC, and to see him get here finally, now I know this defense is gonna do a lot. And I've said it multiple times. You're gonna see a lot of. I feel like it's gonna be some Pro Bowlers going in this year, and I feel like this is gonna really. I want to see Phillips finally do something, get into the Pro Bowl. I do want to see Christian Wilkins. I hope they resign him, bring him back, because every year he has improved, and every year he has done well. And I just love when he gets in Josh Allen's head every game. Every game he gets in that man's head, and it's just a beautiful moment. I feel like we gonna be there, and Steven, I'm gonna try my best to make it to some takeovers. I'm gonna try my best because I've been getting invitations.
I'm glad you brought that up just to remind people. Washington, D.C. this year, the FedEx takeover we're doing. In Philadelphia, we're doing the Philly Finvasion, and in Baltimore, we're doing the Baltimore Beatdown. Miami plays in all three: Baltimore, Philadelphia, and Washington this year. And we're putting on the night before meet and greets and the tailgates the day of. It's going to be good times.
Soon as I get the days, as soon as I find out the days, I'm going to be already making plans. And
it's so funny this year. The Dolphins play in Maryland, Washington D.C., Maryland, Philadelphia, New Jersey, and New York, and Massachusetts. They're all up
Northeasterners.
I-95 corridor this year.
Oh wow!
We're gonna sweep the corridor. We're gonna sweep the corridor.
Sweep the Northeast, my guy.
Sweep the Northeast corridor. I love it.
I'm all about it.
Hey, I ain't gonna hold you guys up. I'm gonna get off.
Chef,
go ahead.
Just real quick, man. I just want to thank you, man, for supporting the show the way that you have for as long as you have, man. It means a lot to me, and you definitely tell other people. And you're always a big advocate for the show, and you get other people to watch the show. And I just want to say thank you, man. I love you, brother.
I love you, man. Oh, I still got to hit you up. We got to talk later. I was saying, are you busy this weekend?
It's my son's birthday on Sunday and the Super Bowl.
I'll talk to you next week Saturday if you got nothing going on. Because remember that idea I told you I was having?
Yeah.
I want us to go ahead and get it going. Not this year, next year. We got to get it done because I want to see this channel grow, and it's growing. We already hit over 10,000. Let's get 20,000. After that, let's get 30,000. Let's get up there. We gonna do it. It's gonna get done. But I ain't gonna hold you
coached by Noob and Money Mitch. Tell the people to donate. Hit the like button. Subscribe. All that fun stuff.
If you love the Dolphins, you love Miami Sports Music Podcast. You love everyone. Donate. Please donate. Help the channel grow. We want to see this go beyond than where it's at now. Let's get it in the main networks. Let's get it on TV. Shoot, I'm speaking that in existence. Let's get it on TV. Let's get it in radio. Let's get it where it needs to be done. Let's get it global. Let's get Miami sports music to take over the world.
Worldwide.
There we go. All right. I love you guys. Fins up. I'm out.
You're the best, Chef. Thank you, brother.
Chef Zhu. One more person I got in the back room, and then we're going to wrap up for the day. And we'll wrap up together. Mr. Todd Liberto, what is up, Todd?
What's going on? My first Zach Thomas moment was when he was at Texas Tech. I'm a diehard Hurricanes fan, and I'm watching the Hurricanes play Texas Tech, and I'm like, who in the heck is this guy making all these tackles? He had like 17 tackles in the game, and I'm like, we need to get him. And sure enough, we got him, and it's been an awesome ride. It really has for him. He deserves it.
It has definitely been an awesome ride. I'll tell you that.
You heard what Peyton Manning said, right?
No.
Peyton Manning said yesterday, he put out a quote. It was the most unnerving thing is standing across the line from Zach Thomas, and he's calling out the plays as I'm knowing what he's calling out the play we're about to run so I can hear it. And he goes, he was the toughest player I've ever gone up against.
Yeah, you were not going to out-prepare or outsmart Zach.
Well, Zach Thomas is what happens when you bring hard work with instincts.
Oh,
and he had them both. And people underestimate. He was the quarterback of that defense. Mm-hmm. That defense was so good. He called out all the plays. He had everybody in position. It was his defense.
Without a doubt.
Hey, look, man, one of the things that I loved about was, when you, as a Dolphins fan living in North Carolina and Virginia and was a military brat, I didn't get to see a lot of Dolphins content, right? And so anytime I got to see an interview with a player on ESPN, internet wasn't such as big thing as it is nowadays, obviously. And I enjoyed seeing anything Dolphins. And so for me, Zach, I enjoyed anytime he got, asked to do a post-game interview, or, ESPN News happened to have the press conference on at the end, which was very rare, by the way. But I love Zach Thomas, man.
I loved how they set him up too. That was actually Zach Thomas pulling into the driveway. He didn't know Jimmy was upstairs waiting for him. And that's what happened.
I love it.
To see someone like Zach, look, tough guy, you don't expect the emotions, but and I say this affectionately, trust me, but when you see a man like that ugly cry, and I was just, that shows you how much it means to him. And it's to hear the way that Jimmy presented it. It was honestly one of the most enjoyable things I've ever seen. It was just so surreal, so perfect. And it was just beautiful.
But I got to get back to work, guys. I just wanted to come on and talk about that for a little bit and show my respect for Zach. Man is a legend.
Hey, man, I love you, Todd. I appreciate it, brother. Keep doing you. Keep getting better, and I love you, brother. Be good, man.
Y'all take care, man. Both of you are awesome. Great show.
Thank you, bro. Have a great
Miami
weekend.
Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Today was a great show today. It was Spread Kindness Friday. We talked about Zach Thomas finally making the Hall of Fame. We went over NFL honor stuff, but most of all, today's show was just about the one and only Mr. 5'4", Mr. Inside Linebacker, the man, the myth, Mr. Texas Tech, Mr. Miami Dolphin, the man, Mr. Zach Thomas making the Hall of Fame. And it was a lot of fun today, man. I enjoyed it so much. I want to let everybody know it's been a great show today. I enjoyed it, man. What did you think of today's show?
I got a goofy grin. I'm going to have this goofy grin on for the rest of the weekend. Really just thrilled to do the show with you every Friday. Thrilled to do any type of talk under the Dolphins community and team. And the favorite thing about my fan, I just love the history. I love going back into the memory banks, and a situation like this, it brings me back to just awesome times, and everything's worth it. I mean, all the things that we put ourselves through as Dolphin fans, all the hard work that you do, all the hard work that we all do as content creators, it's things like this that you could just take pause and say, you know, I made the right decision. You know, it means so much to me.
It does, and there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. Today's show, obviously, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of stuff to do. Look, Super Bowl's on Sunday. Just briefly, want to remind you all. Okay, this is updated now. I got crypto in here. I got Adam Ease. You see the boxes are filling up. I need to get this thing filled up, okay? We need to get this thing filled up. If you are interested in getting a box, get it now. $25 per box, all right? I'm going to come back on live later. If you donate $54 or more, okay, I'm going to go ahead and enter you into a chance to win an autographed jersey as well. Okay, $54 or more. Every $54 donation, you'll get it. But we want to try to raise as much money for the channel as we can, as much money for the more money that gets in here, Dolphins Cancer Challenge, all of it. So let's fill up this box. Let's get it going. I want to make sure that we get it in. You donate on Cash App or PayPal. I'll even drop the link in here for Cash App and PayPal again so that y'all know where to go get it. There we go. Right there. Cash App and PayPal. Any final thought of the day, Jason? Final thought.
Just, you know, enjoy your weekends. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Hey, from now until...
Where are you watching the Super Bowl at?
We're going to go to... my son's got his crew of friends at, you know, a family house that we're going to go stop by. My good friends around the block want me to stop by to watch it with them, so we'll probably go to one or two different places and jump around a little bit. But probably going to make sure my sons are happy with their friends first and foremost, because we're in Philly. Remember, I'm in Philly, so it's, you know, it's
a lot of Eagles fans around you.
A lot of Eagles fans right now. So
yeah, my son's birthday's on Sunday, so I'll be at a jump zone earlier in the day, and we'll be just a lot of stuff we'll be doing for my son. But I told him at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. He turns 9 years old. It's crazy.
Love it.
9. Big 9.
Birthday. Big nine.
Hip Hop says, Steven, if you build it, they will come.
Well said.
If you build it,
well said.
They will come. That is pretty good said, brother.
Hey, well, our pain, it's eased.
Ease his pain.
Well, no more pain. It's eased.
Ease his pain.
And now we just got to go the distance and drive to Canton.
Drive the distance.
Drive the distance.
Hey, I think Big Dougie B just donated for 2 more boxes. Let's go, man. Love it, Big Dougie B. Make sure you guys get in your boxes. Let's fill this bad boy up. Let's get it in where we fit in. Please follow me on social media at Stephen D SKPL for all the updates this weekend about the Super Bowl box. I'll be on a little bit later this afternoon about the giveaway and hopefully to get some more of these boxes filled up and more people to get up here. So I love y'all. Y'all are the best. Big Dougie B, you gave me 1 box. I need 2. You paid for 2. So make sure you do that. Doug, oh, look, people are coming in now. Doug Z just got box number 33. Big Dougie B got box number 55. Let's go. I love it, man. Y'all are the best. Y'all are absolutely amazing. I love y'all. We will see y'all Monday. Actually, wait. Yeah, Monday. It's after the Super Bowl. We got to have a show on Monday. I got to have a show on Monday for the Super Bowl. You'll be back next week on Friday, right, Jason?
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad you guys were here today. It was a lot of fun. Spread kindness Friday. Enjoy. Make sure you get your Super Bowl boxes. Let's go, guys. I love y'all. We'll see y'all on Monday. Miami Sports Music, Clock Blockers. Let's go.
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter column. Whole squad been trained to go. Been for life, we throw the foe. Singing this just to welcome bro. Who that? To a time, to a time. Time to grind, time to shine. To a time, to a time. To a time, to a time. To a time, to a time.